Good morning, viewers. Rise and shine with us on another exciting episode of our AM show. We have meticulously curated a captivating lineup that promises to intrigue, enlighten, and entertain. To kick things off, grab your morning brew as we delve into the headlines with our esteemed guest, lawyer Bobby Banton, for an insightful newspaper review, and we'll dissect the news that's making the waves both locally and beyond. Also, switching gears to the political arena, Wednesday Nova Political Desk joins us to unpack the latest developments surrounding the NPP Parliamentary Vetting in certain constituencies. But wait, there's more. Brace yourselves for a star-studded segment as we sit down with Hollywood heartthrob and actor extraordinaire, now Boris Kodjoe. Now, from his illustrious career to his inspiring journey, get ready for an exclusive interview with Kodjoe Yankson. And of course, we wouldn't leave out sports. Stay tuned as we bring you the latest updates, scores, and highlights. Last but certainly not the least, we value your voice. As always, we'll be tuning in to your thoughts, opinions, and reactions throughout the show. So sit back, relax, and let's embark on a morning filled with engaging conversations, captivating stories, and unforgettable moments. Welcome once again to the AM show. I am Mami Sinyamije Thompson. We're back with the news. Let's start with the NPP. A disqualified parliamentary hopeful of the Ayahuasca West Wuogon constituency, Samuel Owusu-Amankwa, has vowed to appeal the decision by the party's vetting committee after alleging that he was offered money to rescind his decision to contest incumbent MP for the area, Lydia Seyram Alasan.
I know this is a grand scheme against the youth of Ghana. This is not just against Amankwa. This is just against the youth of Ghana, because I heard somebody say that you are too young. But I tell them, look at J.A. for His Excellency. He was a minister at the age of 28. When are the youth going to rise up and then take their future in their own hands? We are taking our future in our own hands now. I was told I will be paid for everything I spent on this campaign. Gentlemen, I'm not too rich. I don't have so much money. But what we are pushing for is not money. Look, people feel the youth of Ghana are all about money. No, it's about changing the status quo, changing the future of this country, taking the future into our own hands. That's what matters. It's not about what people are going to pay to us. I didn't go into this election because of my pockets. No. In all humility, I can feed myself, my family, and those who are in need.
Now, the vetting of parliamentary candidate hopefuls of the NPP in the Greater Accra region by the close of Friday is expected to select 14 candidates to represent the party heading into the general election this year. Kenneth JC visited some centers for Joy News.
The race for the parliamentary elections of the ruling New Patriotic Party has begun as vetting commenced today to vet the possible candidates to lead in their various constituencies heading into the December 7th elections. And here at the shelter in Teshi, big wigs and popular names and faces trooped in to be vetted by their party. Let's listen to some of them.
My chances are fantastic. My chances are fantastic because I have just the one message for the Domi Kwabenya delegates, that we need a united front to break the 8. We need to take breaking the 8 seriously. And they know me. They know I'm ready to serve them with humility, with love, with care, with attention and diligence.
An age of technology. Biometric is biometric. And the key I have is a biometric key. It's not a key that anybody else can just touch. So I have the biometric key. So it's a Midas touch key that no matter what you do, we can't give to anybody else.
One of the key constituencies to look out for is the Domi Kwabenya seat, where the incumbent MP, Sarah Adwoa-Safo, will be looking forward to being fourth time lucky, but she faces a stiff opposition in a familiar face in the person of Mike Okwei Jr.
You know, when you're a parent and your child does something wrong and you pick up a belt or a cane to beat up the child and the child immediately kneels and says, "Mommy, I'm sorry," you'll be touched. and you leave the cane or the belt. It takes a woman of courage. It takes a courageous politician to accept that I've done something wrong. Forgive me. And that is what has touched the hearts of the people of Dome-Kwabenya. And I know they still would vote me into power.
Well, I mean, we're very confident, but at the same time, we're humble to acknowledge that everything is up to God. I contested the first time in 2011. I lost. I didn't contest in 2016 because I didn't want it to look like you are chasing a seat around. I wanted to give ample time for 2 terms before I came again in 2020.
Well, over 60 parliamentary aspirants for the New Patriotic Party have been vetted in the Ashanti Regional Office. Now, one of the 5 aspirants for the Ahafo Southwest Parliamentary Primaries, Opoku Arenie, has withdrawn, citing his quest to preserve the integrity of the polls in the constituency. Ashanti Regional NPP Secretary Kwame Adom-Appiah confirmed official receipt of his withdrawal.
128 parliamentary aspirants are expected to be vetted in 2 stations in the Ashanti region. The process completes a constitutional mandate of screening aspirants before receiving the nod to begin campaign and contest the parliamentary primaries. The 4 vetting committees at the NPP Ashanti Regional Secretariat screened over 60 aspirants on the first day of the exercise. Regional Secretary Kwame Adom-Appiah confirmed the withdrawal of one from Ahafo Southwest constituency.
His intention in writing, and he appeared before the committee and told the committee that looking at the terrain and the tension in there, he is ready to step down so as to reduce the tension and support whoever would be elected as a candidate for the constituency. On that score, he was not part of the balloting. He served me with a copy of his intention to. He served the committee chairman, he served national, and the committee heard him. So we are waiting for the outcome, whatever the committee will deal with in relation to monies already paid. That will be the prerogative of the committee.
Loud cheers echoed from supporters of aspirants as they headed to the vetting center. Several aspirants lauded the vetting process, describing it as smooth.
The process was very smooth. We all have to understand that MPP is a democratic party. And as such, when we came, we were made to pass through the usual rules and regulations governing the primaries. I'm number 3. This is a clear indication that I'm the winner, signifying Trinity. When I came in 2017, I was able to bring on board 108 projects. I'm just throwing a challenge that when I win, I'm going to make sure that within the first year, all the 10 roads, the contractors will come on board and will make sure that the roads will be tarred.
And I believe that the party officials will qualify me to stand as an NPP parliamentary candidate in Ahafo. Delegates will vote for Kwaku Fosu-Frimpong because what I am doing in Ahafo North, I don't think, as they say, has ever happened in Ahafo North. And I believe that they know what is good for the constituency, and I have confidence that they will bring me as their parliamentary candidate to become the MP in Ahafo North.
I'm very sure that I'm going to go to by the grace of God that we serve. I am able and competent for this job. Why am I saying this? My people want somebody who cares for them. My people have somebody who believes in people-centric, where we put the people first and our obligations will come later. Over some years now, I started something called Obi Foundation, and this foundation has tremendously make an impact in the constituency. I tackle from the health sector, I tackle the education background, and even as far as creative arts. So now the constituencies are yelling. They are calling that Emmanuel Osebo should come and take the mantle from Honorable Francis Adabomanu because they believe that I can do the work for the constituency.
Mr. Adom-Appiah entreated aspirants to follow the rules of the party in the internal polls. Reporting for Joy News, Clinton Mieboa.
While still in the Ashanti region, we bring you a wrap of the process in other areas.
up to the 27th January parliamentary primaries for the governing New Patriotic Party, the next step is for aspirants to pass through the vetting process of the party. At the office of the Vice President, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, supporters came along with the aspirants in a jubilant mood to throw their weight behind them as they pass through the vetting process today.
Well, this is almost like a ritual. Positions also on ballot papers is also very pivotal and critical. It forms part of the psyche of the ordinary voter. And so I am happy to announce that I was able to choose number 1 on the ballot paper. Anybody who followed the 2020 elections will tell you clearly that indeed I was number 1 on the ballot paper. And in the 2024 elections too, I have been able to choose number 1 on the ballot paper. It clearly shows that indeed, whatever that you put your mind to, you will be able to achieve it. I have no doubt in my mind that I'm going to come out victorious on the 27th of January 2024.
Oh, it was cool. It was smooth and very peaceful. Like I said, if you know what you are doing, then you can best describe it. I'm the incumbent MP. I believe in my relationship with the delegates. I've spoken with them. I know they are going to retain me.
It looks very simple. Last 4 years I contested. I won with a difference of about 3,500. This time we are looking at increasing the vote. And now we have a new flag bearer, that is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So we are working in collaboration with him so that we can increase the vote. And we are sure, poised of having a slight victory in Akrofrom.
Look at the vetting process. How was it?
Oh, it was peaceful, so smooth. Because I'm unopposed, the atmosphere was less tense, and it was so friendly. It was more or less like a conversation. So it went very well.
Going into 2024, the general elections this year,
we are sure of victory.
You've passed through the vetting process. The main election is on 27th of January.
How do you know whether I passed through the vetting process?
I mean, you are done with the vetting today. And so 27, how does it look like for you?
The fact that I've gone through the process doesn't mean that I'm qualified to stand. You have to go through the process and wait for the results. So I don't know what the results are going to be.
But we should be hopeful that you'd qualify. How does 27...
Be hopeful that I qualify. Why should I?
From all economic history and everything, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia stands head and shoulders over John Dramani Mahama.
So 2024 is a done deal for the NPP?
2024 will be a done deal for NPP.
So this is a situation on ground here at the party office of the Vice President Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia as the party holds the first day of the vetting process subsequently to the NPP's parliamentary primaries.
Let's head to the northern region where one of the aspirants contesting for the Bimbilla slot of the party, Alhaji Ahmed Nuhu Zaruk, has called for calm within the party following yesterday's disturbances. Supporters of Alhaji Zaruk vandalized the party's constituency office after he was eliminated from the list of candidates for the vetting, which began yesterday. Not satisfied with the outcome, the supporters took to the streets in protest, but calm has since returned to the party.
Addressing a press conference in Tamale, spokesperson for Alhaji Zaruk, Alhaji Abubakar Umar, said the party has assured Alhaji Zaruk the process will be free and fair. It says the secretary, Justin Kodia, who gave him the assurance, insists the process will be fair.
He has spoken to the General Secretary of NPP, Honorable Justin K. Frimpong, and has been assured of fairness and justice in the process leading to the primaries. The regional secretary of the NPP has also called, inviting him for vetting tomorrow at 3 p.m. So please keep calm and relax. Alhaji Zaruk is very safe and calm where he is now.
Alhaji Abubakar also explained the process they had gone through earlier filing the forms.
I want to add that I led Alhaji Zaruk to submit his nomination form to the Bimbila Constituency Committee, Executive Committee, on Friday, the 22nd December 2023. The form was perused and accepted because all signings were done and there was nothing wrong with the form, according to the committee. I thank the youth of the constituency for their empathy. I thank the General Secretary, Honorable K. Frimpong, and the party executives, both regional and headquarters executives. I thank you, the media, and all the youth of Bimbila constituency.
Well, former President John Dramani Mahama has threatened to hold to account officials of the current administration found to be involved in corruption. The NDC flag bearer noted in dismay how the national pride had been eroded through corruption and mismanagement of the economy. He said this in his New Year message.
We've all lived painfully through the challenges the failed Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration has inflicted on us through their reckless mismanagement of the economy, poor governance, barefaced corruption, and profligate expenditure at the expense of socio-economic and infrastructural development. As we start the journey in this new year, I'm here to offer hope to you all. I'm committed to repairing the damage done to our economy and creating a brighter future for all Ghanaians. In addition to these interventions, I am also passionate about the fight against corruption and uprooting poor governance to ensure that our resources are used responsibly and ethically. I firmly believe a transparent and accountable government is essential for building trust and confidence in our institutions. We will hold to account members of this administration who have abused the public trust by misconducting themselves in office. But more importantly, we would also allow unfettered space for the anti-corruption agencies to deal with anybody who abuses the public trust under my administration. By strengthening anti-corruption measures, promoting good governance, and upholding the rule of law, we shall create a fairer and more equitable society where everyone can thrive. We will reduce the size of government in our bid to cut down on expenditure. We will combine ministries and remove government agencies that are duplicating each other. In other words, we in government will also tighten our belts, even as we call on our people to make whatever sacrifices are necessary for our national revival.
Well, John Mahama also detailed plans to make his 24-hour economy vision viable. Central to the implementation of the policy is a prioritization of new recruits into the security service to provide protection for businesses during extended hours.
At the heart of my vision for economic revitalization is the implementation of a 24-hour economy. This innovative policy seeks to maximize productivity and efficiency by extending business hours and operations around the clock. Doing so will create a more dynamic and vibrant economy that benefits workers and businesses. A 24-hour economy will increase economic output and create well-paying jobs. It will also contribute to a more inclusive and accessible society, giving people the flexibility to work, to study, to shop, and enjoy leisure activities at any time that suits them best. The 24-hour economy will succeed because we shall provide improved security and public safety, which will require massive recruitment into the security services and private security operations. My government will provide cheaper and more reliable electricity for those participating businesses based on a time of use tariff system. Companies that sign up for the 24-hour economy will benefit from modern smart meters calibrated to charge a lesser tariff per kilowatt hour for power that is consumed during off-peak hours. Businesses that subscribe to the 24-hour economic policy will receive further tax incentives to reduce the cost of their operations and enhance their competitiveness. Financing support will be provided to strategic agro-processing factories and manufacturing companies through the Ghana Exim Bank to boost production, for import substitution, and for exports.
The Office of the Special Prosecutor says its investigation has confirmed that, in fact, an attempt was made to offer money to a section of the Majority Caucus of Parliament with the intention of influencing their demand on the removal of Ken Ofori-Atta as Minister of Finance. A Special Prosecutor Kisi Ejaping, however, says his office cannot probe the alleged case. In an interview on Upfront, he revealed that they had been approached with financial inducement, but they rejected the bribery attempt. Watch this. Apologies, we are unable to bring you that soundbite, but reacting to the report, Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Murtala Mohammed, says he is not surprised by the outcome of the investigation because he believes that Santi Achim MP made the allegations in haste for the fear of the minority calling them out, reason he was not able to obtain any evidence to defend the allegation. He spoke on Pulse.
Remember when he made that statement? I said he made that statement because they knew that some of us had some information that there was an attempt to bribe them. I said this on your program. So it was not to demonstrate independent mindedness. As a member of parliament in a caucus, he was making that statement to preempt the information some of us had that there was an attempted bribery of the NPP caucus in parliament. Now, if he made that statement and the office of the special prosecutor is investigating a matter, what is your beef? You remember when the statement was also made that they rejected the bribe, and also when they came out and insisted that the Minister for Finance be forced to resign or sacked. People who work on democratic governance hailed them. At that time, I had senior lecturers on the campus of University of Ghana who hailed them and said that our democracy was indeed growing bounds and leaps. Unfortunately, what they have demonstrated is once again a weakness shown by the legislative arm of our government architecture. And that for me is extremely worrying.
What would you expect from the Speaker of Parliament? The question as to whether or not a parliamentary probe should be triggered at this point, because the OSP was instructive that indeed a wealthy man attempted to bribe some of the majority members of the House. Now he's confirmed that, except to say the individuals involved would not cooperate. You have the power in Parliament to at least trigger a parliamentary probe into this, because it's casting a slur on the entire membership of the House and not just the majority side.
Must we even be going to Parliament? Is the office of the special prosecutor not having the mandate and the power to demand response from Honorable Andia Piakubi and those who made those allegations? Because we are talking of corruption here. And that is where I have a little problem with the office of the special prosecutor. They refuse to cooperate. Don't they have the powers of a high court? If they do not, then I stand to be corrected. So the fact that someone is refusing to cooperate on an allegation that he himself made on national television, that ends the story. I'm a bit disappointed because bribe or attempted bribe are all crimes. Now you are unwilling to do so. I can only guess that perhaps they announced that they were not willing to, they refused to take this money, and perhaps would have gone back to take the money. Because if they didn't go back to take the money, why are they so scared? Why is he so scared to mention the name of the businessman? A businessman attempting to bribe members of parliament, a whole caucus. And you refuse it. You didn't even report that businessman to the police. You didn't do anything.
And that's how we end the news on the AM show. But we're just getting started. We'll be back with a news review with lawyer Bobby Bansin. So welcome back, and we delve right into it and the news review segment, and we're joined on the line by lawyer Bobby Bansin, who will be helping us review the news making the waves in the country. Lawyer Bobby Bansin, welcome to the AM show.
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers. And happy
good
New
morning
Year.
And Happy New Year to you too.
Hopefully this year would bring less drama in our socio-economic and political space. So we focus on the things that matter more.
Well, we hope so, but the drama has already started, don't you think? With the OSP and...
Well, let's see how it will go. I have some views about it, but let's see.
Well, then let's start off right from it. You've seen it. What's your opinion about it?
The OSP's test report on the attempted bribery of the majority. Can you hear me?
I can. If you could reposition yourself a bit so you don't break.
Okay. Hope it's better now.
Perfect.
I read it I read the report itself. I would want to state from my opinion, you know, the OSP is not there to persecute. He's there to prosecute in the context of his enabling acts. And the OSP would conduct investigations before putting petty things. He has evidence of or against, or evidence of them conducting or engaging in the crime that the OSP is empowered by law to prosecute. So after his investigations, if he has evidence that these persons have committed a crime and he would be able to secure it, that is what influences the OSP's decision. If you look at the reports that he has issued over time, those that he has decided to prosecute, those he has decided to drop, you'd notice that coming from the background of a criminal defense lawyer with his private practice and his chain of law, I think that he's influenced more of, if there is a 50% chance, I will not go for prosecution. That is how I see the spirit behind his reports. I think that he would decide to go for prosecution if him and his team, after studying the evidence they have, are convinced that there is perhaps 90 to 10% chance that he would. And so Ghanaians generally may not be happy some of the allegations that are brought to his attention or some of the issues that he decides to investigate. I think that we should be a little bit measured with the way we attack him when he comes to his report of, I'm not holding brief for him, but I'm also looking at it from the perspective of, in criminal law, in criminal prosecution, there's this golden rule that it is better to let 1,000 guilty people walk free than to convict an innocent person. And so if you have the OSP from his investigations, and I don't think that we are attempting to direct the OSP how to do his work in terms of the investigation. If we have the OSP saying, listen, I heard this member of parliament saying on national television that some persons attempted to corrupt them. I invited this member of parliament. The member of parliament refuses to give me details to enable me build a docket that I'm confident that I will procure a conviction. And I cannot, even though I have the powers, the OSP admitted that he has the powers to subpoena these persons to give evidence. But we all know in practice, if you have a witness that is supposed to be your star witness, who is refusing to give you the needed evidence that you will need, especially in criminal law, you find yourself wanting, because a multitude of suspicion in criminal law does not amount to evidence. This is not civil litigation that you say that it is on the balance of probability. In criminal law, the burden of proof is beyond reasonable doubt and is very high. And so if the OSP thinks that there is still some doubt as to the evidence or the allegation that this named or this person, who we don't know the name, has attempted to bribe the majority caucus, and he may not be able to procure a conviction, he may exercise his discretion not to commence any criminal prosecution of that person. You see, the Attorney General's Department or the Attorney General sometimes also issues opinions that does not recommend prosecution of some matters where they think that there's no evidence, because they may not want to invest state resources to attempt a prosecution that they know may not be successful. I think that they will rather focus on the ones that they are sure there's the likelihood of conviction. If they themselves are not confident of procuring conviction, maybe they will exercise their discretion not to commence any prosecution at all. Remember, the law gives the OSP that discretion. And just like the Attorney General's Department, that sometimes in our practice issues opinions to ask police not to prosecute, or they decide not to prosecute because they do not have sufficient evidence. Unless we are trying to say that the OSP is influenced by other factors, for which reason he decides to prosecute some people and not prosecute other persons. But I do not think that we've had evidence, apart from, again, mere allegations made by certain persons in the community or the society or in the country, that the OSP is influenced by other factors. My only wish or my drawback from that report was that I was hoping that the OSP would have mentioned the name of this businessman. But the report that I read, I don't know whether you have the name, but the report that I read, the name of that businessman has been blotted out. And I asked myself, hoping himself to any liability if he had mentioned the name. After all, it's in his report. And he's not saying the person has committed the offense. He's saying that these were the allegations that were made. My investigations revealed that this is the person who made that allegation, but I do not have evidence to prosecute the person who that alleged bribery, participated or were approached with the attempted bribery, have refused to collaborate. But he did, for reasons best known to him, he did not mention the name of that person. Perhaps he was looking at maybe reputational damage. He said, okay, I say I will not prosecute. If I mention his name, have I already put him down public as being somebody who is attempted to bribe majority caucus? Will the reputational damage done to the person be one that can be reversed in any manner or by any form? So perhaps he has considered all of these things before he issued that report. So that is my appreciation of the report by the OSP.
Well, Bobby, let me put this question by Victus Aximu, who is an anti-corruption campaigner, and he's asking, can the Office of the Special Prosecutor compel the people to give the evidence? Doesn't he have the power to compel them to do so?
Like I said, he has the power to ask those people to be subpoenaed. But let me tell you, if you subpoena somebody who is not ready to talk, the person will go and stand in the dock. Every question that he is asked, he can choose to say, I don't know, I don't remember. The court cannot put words in the mouth of a witness. The OSP cannot put words in the mouth of a witness. If you subpoena the person and the person does not come, the person may be liable for contempt. If the person chooses to come, the Constitution says that we all have, or every person that appears in court cannot be forced to say anything he's not. He can refuse to say anything at all. He can. So if the person is subpoenaed, the person goes to court. Sorry. And then you ask the person a question, you said, I don't remember. I don't remember. You can create that or public will only see that the person is trying to hide something. But will it procure the prosecution that the OSP wants? The answer is no. And so if the person clearly says, listen, I am not ready to speak, I will not speak. If you subpoena me, I will not speak. What else can the OSP do? The OSP cannot put words in the mouth of the person. And so, yes, the OSP can subpoena the person, but the OSP cannot compel the person to say what the OSP wants that person to say. So it's akin to the situation of you can force so if you've been in practice, then you would appreciate some of these difficulties that the OSP would have. We've had cases where persons who are willing to provide evidence, the OSP is prosecuting those cases. In this instance, the key witnesses are not willing to give me the information needed. I think that it is fair to those persons involved and the state in the long run, because you see, it is not just about, oh, prosecute. You would also have to think of the financial implications of the prosecution. So if SB thinks that there are matters that he stands a higher chance of procuring conviction, maybe he exercises discretion to do that. If there are matters that he thinks that he stands a lower chance of procuring conviction, maybe he would exercise his discretion, issue the report, people to know he actually attempted to do his work, but he's been frustrated by some of these roadblocks.
Well, Bobby, the key witness, Andy Appiah, could be in an interview with my colleague Evans Mens on PM Express sometime last 2 years, made some confessions about this businessman, attempting to bribe a majority of the MPs. Does this not hold any water in this case?
Those were statements not made in a courtroom. They were not made on oath. The Evidence Act says that evidence that must be admitted in court are evidence made on oath. So the OSP can go to court with this news reportage as the basis of this prosecution. Now, the fact that the OSP was not the person who this businessman attempted to bribe means that the OSP will only be presenting hearsay evidence because he can only present that statement made by Mr. Appiah as evidence or as a statement made by Mr. Appiah on air. But he cannot present that statement as evidence that indeed the businessman attempted to bribe the majority caucus. And so there are a lot of technical nuances in the evidence that can be provided in support of a criminal prosecution. So yes, we all heard it, but it is made outside courtroom. And if they said Appiah could be the person who made those statements outside the courtroom, decides not to repeat those statements in the courtroom, the OSP can only bring it up as you said this. But I changed my mind. I was given a wrong. What can the OSP, unless we are asking the OSP to prosecute Mr. Appiah Kubina, Andy Kubina, unless we are asking the OSP to prosecute him, the MPs, for maybe, I don't know what. I don't know whether the enabling act of the OSP would allow him to prosecute him for making those statements. And so there are quite technical issues arising out of the weight to be put on those kind of statements which are made outside the courtroom, and the fact that the person who made those statements is being prosecuted and has decided not to repeat those statements in a court of law in fostering a prosecution.
Well noted, Bobby. And let's move on to another topic. The flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, has been making so much noise about his 24-hour economic policy. And recently he just said that he'll be signing up for a 24-hour system which will help accomplish his vision, including, creating jobs for the youth in the security sector so that they'll be providing protection for businesses who will be launching onto this 24-hour vision. What do you make of this? I mean, for your law firm, would you like to operate a 24-hour service to benefit from this?
Listen, I don't think that it's fair to the former president to say he's making noise about this. I think that he's telling Ghanaians what his primary vision, if he's given the second opportunity to rule this country or to govern this country, would be. And day in, day out, he's giving, like lawyers would say, further and better particulars of this vision. I think that if our politics go towards this direction, where it becomes a campaign of issues and policies, it will benefit the electorate to make an informed decision. So it's not a campaign of insults or tribalism or anything that will detract from the purpose of this democratic dispensation we have. And so let's give the former president the platform to espouse this vision that he's saying. And I believe that those who would buy into it, if he's given the opportunity to become the next president in 2025, would exercise their right to sign up to this. I think that if we have somebody who says, this is what I want to do, these are the effects that I think it will have on the economy, let's listen. At least let's listen. And then if majority of Ghanaians decide to give him that opportunity, then those who would want to subscribe to it would do that. The question of whether I will subscribe to it, I think that if he's in power, then I can answer that question.
All right, let's go to the Daily Graphic now. Medical doctors, are saying that practicing medical doctors in Ghana are to use Dr. Med or Dr. Dentist, respectively, as their new designations effective this year, as in it started January 1. The reason for adding the Med and the Dent to their titles, according to the association, is to help enhance patients' rights, patient safety and quality healthcare, among others. What do you make of this decision by the Ghana Medical Association?
Well, so that they differentiate perhaps from the book doctors and doctors that are awarded or conferred on for other reasons apart from exhibiting some form of academic genuity or astuteness. I don't know whether it would have the impact that they are seeking to have, apart from what I have said. But let's see, if it's their right, it's their right. Like lawyers are allowed to write ESQ at the end of their name. If doctors think that they are entitled to that as well, let them use it. At the end of the day, what we are looking for is them providing the services that will benefit Ghanaians. So I really not bothered what name they choose to call themselves. If you add Med or DNT to your name, and I think in a lot of developed countries, even those titles are really not used. They are not required. I personally do not see any additional value that it will bring to you if you do not perform the services to the best of your ability, the services that name that you want to, or that title you want to add to your name is saying that you should perform. And so if they want us to address them that way because they've earned it, yes, it's their right, and we would respect that wish accordingly.
But does it really make any difference to your healthcare? Does it, for you as a patient?
That's what I said, that for me, it just acts the same way if the person calls himself lawyer so and so and so, and he doesn't add any anything, it doesn't affect the quality of the services. But you see, you have recently, I saw those who were even standing for the district assembly elections. That is, those who are not incumbents, those that are now trying to be elected. If you see their posters, they were adding honorable to their names. They have not yet been elected, but their posters, they're already adding honorable to their names. And so we are a society where maybe we are a lot interested in these titles. But like you said, I do not think you can call yourself all of that, but if you do not provide the services to the best or to the welfare of the persons for which you want to be addressed like that, then what have you gained? Like they say.
Right, Bobby. And just before you go, the president has sworn in 3 justices to the Supreme Court: Justice Henry Anthony Kofi, Justice Yalda Kwansari, and Justice Richard J. Frimpong in a ceremony at the Jubilee House. And this, he says, is in fulfillment of Article 144, Clause 2 of the 1992 Constitution. I mean, these, recent swearing in of justices to the Supreme Court has brought about some, kind of debate about pushing too many justices into the Supreme Court. Do you agree?
No, I have never subscribed to that, at least in the current context. I think that those that make that argument, either influenced by politics or merely saying that, if you look at the facts, as it stands now, until these three were added, there were only 12 judges of the Supreme Court, 12 judges of the Supreme Court, handling almost 400 or 500 cases. Only 12, and the Supreme Court panel is minimum five per panel. And so what it means is that if they sit in 5, so you have only 2 panels of the Supreme Court handling all these cases. It's untenable, they cannot. And people say the president has appointed, the president has appointed. The question I ask myself, if you look at the history, the president only appoints mostly when somebody is retiring. That is why he came to office in 2017, till date. He has appointed so many judges to the Supreme Court, but we now only have 15. And out of these 15, he didn't even appoint all of them. Some he came to meet. And so it is not as if that he had intentionally set out to pack. I mean, yes, I agree that there should be some form of regulation as to that, but in the current scheme of things, I think those who make that argument, with all due respect, are not being fair to the Supreme Court in terms of the workload and what ought to be done to ensure efficiency. Because you have people complaining, well, when you file a case in the Supreme Court, these days, they don't even give a date. You have to wait for them to, yes, because they don't have the numbers. So what do you expect them to do? And so I hope that the addition of these 3 very fine, very, very fine legal brains would reduce the workload on the existing judges, and they will also contribute to the development of the jurisprudence that we have. I have had the privilege of practicing before them at the various levels of the High Court and the Court of Appeal, and I'm very confident in their capacity and their capability to contribute to the legal jurisprudence of this country.
Well, there's this interesting story on My Joy Online, and it says the Executive Director of Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare, says there is a likelihood that junior high school students may have to take the BECE without access to any textbooks. According to him, there has been a shift in the curriculum since the finalization of the Common Core curriculum by government. And he's emphasizing that the Common Core curriculum did not reach finalization on the same day as the primary school curriculum, And he stated that the first batch of students using the Common Core curriculum would be sitting for the BECE next year, But then he's emphasizing that if efforts are not made to provide textbooks between now and June, these students might be writing without seeing any textbooks. And as you know, there's been issues with providing textbooks for schools. What do you make of this latest development, Bobby?
Well, I think it's an indictment on our education ministry and those that are in charge of our basic education, because this issue of lack of textbooks has been on for a very, very long time since they introduced the new curriculum. And if till date, close to them writing the exams, they do not have the textbooks, I wonder how the teachers are teaching and how the students are following it. It is something that I think the education ministry and the GS should really prioritize, because if at the basics, the foundation is not strong, then we can imagine what in the next 10 years, these students who have been deprived these basic textbooks, the kind of graduates will be churning out. And so it's a matter that is an indictment, and I think the education ministry and the GS should take the immediate steps, if what the Education Watch group is saying is true, to remedy that situation.
Well, I want to hear your thoughts about the current situation in our education sector, not just about textbooks, also about providing food and other things to boarding houses has also been a problem since last year. as well as, changing of curriculum and all that. What should really be done to stabilize the education sector?
I think, like a lot of sectors in our economy or in our country, we enjoy playing politics with it. Oh, this is this party's idea. This is that party's idea. Oh, we must bring our own ideas so that we will be deemed or seen to have introduced something that we can own. I think that the Constitution states the basic. There must be free basic education for all persons. We are elevating it to the secondary school level. Did we have the necessary resources at the time we decided to do it? Could we have done it in a better way? I have said that I think that the free SHS policy was implemented. The idea is brilliant. Wholesale, I do not really subscribe. It could have been done, I think, in ways that would have reduced the economic impact on the country and then ensured that those that are benefiting from it will actually benefit from it to the best, or would be very efficient and very effective. But it is what it is. We are where we are. I think it will be very difficult for any other political party apart from the NPP to reverse the free SHS. So we've started hearing the word review. I hope that the NPP reviews it going forward. I hope that if NDC gets power to, they will review it. At the end of the day, it must be efficient so that we do not have people suffering. I do not think that education is only about results or grades. I do not think so. I think that education should be holistic. And so if the person gets the best grades, but the person has not been wholly educated, then you have a situation where somebody has passed through the school, but education itself, the person is only book knowledge, but has not been given the full societal education that we need. So that if the schools do not have these resources, they may not be able to invest in other areas of education that would give a holistic education to the students. And so we should look at how we can have a very consistent and certain policy. But it goes the same issue with the National Development Plan. We have a National Development Plan, we invest in it, and then every 5 years or every 4 years or every 8 years, or best when there's a change of government, the National Development Agenda is altered. And you ask yourself, are we not learning from other countries? In Singapore, in the UAE, countries that have development agendas for 50 years, for 20 years. Last time I was thinking, when I was younger, I used to hear Vision 2020. What happened to it? Did we get there? Did we achieve what we will achieve? Okay, do we have another Vision 2030? Do we have, what is our agenda as a country? Where do we expect to be? Have all the political parties signed to it? Is it that it's a collective effort? And if we start thinking that way, a lot of the things that we suffer now should be reduced. But alas, it is what it is, and this is where we are.
Would you allow your children to enter into the basic education system in Ghana?
Like I said, education is holistic. It's not only about the classroom. And so when I get there and I'm of the opinion that the basic education system will not provide them the holistic education that I desire for them, I believe that I will advise myself.
Oh, Bobby, when was the last time you used the Tema Accra motorway?
I used part of it on Tuesday.
Well, then you must have known that reconstruction has commenced on the road.
On Tuesday, I did not see, apart from the overheads they are doing, I did not see. But, the roads start getting worse. And let me tell you this, I am no expert, okay? But I've been thinking of something. I'm no expert. And I stand to be corrected. If I'm wrong, please let the experts educate us on this. When you see the speed with which the motorway has deteriorated over the last, should I say 5 years? I think, and again, I am no expert, but I think that when it rained heavily in the past, you never saw the motorway flooded.
Yes, that's true.
In the past, the motorway never got flooded. But in the last 5 years, whenever it rains heavily, you see the Tema motorway being flooded. Now, let me tell you what I think. Again, I am no expert. And so, you know that stretch of land from the East Legon Tunnel?
Yeah.
That comes from the police station, the East Legon police station.
Mm-hmm.
Up to that first roundabout on that stretch.
Yes.
You know, for years, it was left as a conservative or reserve land? For years. It was only about 5 or 6 years ago, they started developing that stretch of land.
Yes.
Now, those days, when persons applied for permits to do any form of development on that stretch, they were always refused on the basis that it's a conservative, it is left. That when it rains, you know, when you drive on the motorway is a bit high, and those are low lands. So when it rains, the water will now seep down to those places. And because it is soil, not concrete, they would hold the water so that it will not come back. Now, for some reason, I know there was a court case. I don't know how it ended. There was a court case where the residents on the other side were seeking to prevent the municipal assembly from issuing permits to develop that stretch. I don't know how that court case ended, but you see that in the last times, or in the last 5 years or 6 years, when there have been active concrete development on that stretch, the motorway has started flooding, and the quality of the motorway has deteriorated very, very speedily. I'm a layman, but every time I drive on it, I ask myself those questions. I don't know whether it is because of the development on that stretch. Would the motorway have deteriorated this speedily if those parts had not been developed? Why did we decide to develop a stretch that has been left as a conservatory for over 50 years since independence? And all of a sudden we are developed, and all of us are suffering, I think, because of that. Food for thought.
Well, interesting food for thoughts this morning. Bobby, I'm so delighted and grateful for joining us this morning on the AM show. We are so grateful for her for making time to be with us. Thank you very much. And that's how we wrap up the news review on the AM show. There's more news on myjoyonline.com as well as graphiconline.com as well. But for now, we have sports.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports. Here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Former Black Stars assistant coach Maxwell Konadu says that the current group of Black Stars players are not better than any team heading into the African Cup of Nations 2023. Ghana is housed in a group with Syria winners Egypt, Cape Verde, and Mozambique. The Black Stars will open its campaign on January 14 against Cape Verde. And Maxwell Konadu wants the players to be focused on taking it match after match instead of thinking that they are better than any team heading into the competition. He was speaking on the AM show on Wednesday.
I would have preferred you mention, Senegal, Mali, Cote d'Ivoire in our group. I prefer that. Stop mentioning these names. Close your eyes, prepare very well, tackle every match after match seriously, and make sure that we progress. That's all I can say. You start mentioning names, you see, a lot of people, and it's even up to today, people hear names of countries and they are, this country, when did they start to play football? Really? Those days are gone. Those days are gone. Please. So I don't even want to know who is in our group. I only wake up, last hour after match, I'll go and sit behind my TV and pray for the team to win. I don't want to know our opponent. All I want to hear is we won at the end of the 90 minutes.
That's what matters.
We are not ahead of anybody.
You believe so? We are not ahead of any team?
Forget about our players playing here, there, forget. We are not ahead of anybody. they are not also ahead of us. Let's prepare well and go and, beat everything that comes our way.
But do we have the quality to be able to qualify out of the group?
Me, I believe with good preparations and with good mentality, we can do it. You see, at this stage, it's not about, you didn't get that luxury time to prepare. But with character and hard work, you can go far.
With character and hard work?
How many days can you prepare for this tournament? You get maximum 10, 12 days. The tournament is starting already. So it's up to us to prepare very well, mentally. The AFCON, majority of our problem is mental. Ghanaians talk, and when they talk, the players, they hear. They have their families here. So mentally, the team must be ready. Honestly speaking, mentally, the team must be ready.
Meanwhile, President of the Ghana Football Association, Kurt Okreku, has called on Ghanaians to throw their weight behind the team to end the country's about 42 years wait to win the African Cup of Nations. According to him, Chris Hilton and his boys have got what it takes to lay their hands on the trophy.
We have one senior national team men, and this senior national team men is called the Black Stars. And once the men for the job are announced, they are our warriors. Let's get behind the squad. Let us leave behind us all the pre-announcement discussions. And as Ghanaians, let's push and put our weight behind the men who have been picked to go to Côte d'Ivoire to fight for glory for our dear country. This is the only way the boys will feel the adrenaline levels of our countrymen and women. This is the only way they will then be very focused on delivering that target of envy. We all know that the performances of our dear team has not been too stable. But this is the moment that the boys need our undiluted support. When the times are very difficult, when the times are very unstable, those are the times they need your support, my support, and the support of the entire country. Coach Chris Hilton and the rest of the backroom staff need your support, need our support. And I'm extremely happy that all of us are here. It's a signal of our commitment towards offering this Tenkra team and our players our undiluted support. Ivory Coast is possible. We have seen top performing teams fail at big tournaments. We have seen less experienced, unfancied sides win big tournaments. So it is possible. Again, whether in good times or in bad times, all of us here in our dear country called Ghana have only one senior men national team. It is the Black Stars. And we are the Black Stars. And we are Ghana.
And Kumasi Asante Kotoko midfielder Richmond Lamte, he's one of the 3 home-based players who have been called up into the senior national team for the African Cup of Nations. The former West Africa Football Academy graduate says it has always been a dream to play for the Black Stars.
Growing up, it was in mind that I wanted to play, especially for the Black Stars, and for me to be included in the 27-man squad it's an honor, and I'm very happy. Well, it's a dream come true, and I'd like to say, you know, giving up is not an option, because we know what we all know what I went through. Yeah, no, I'm not going to disappoint them, and I really thank them, and they should keep on supporting me.
Indeed, he went through difficulties, especially in the year of 2022, when the Ghana Football Association banned him for 30 years. It took FIFPro and the Court of Arbitration for Sport to overturn that decision, which has now given him an opportunity to play for the senior national team, the Black Stars. Let's hear from team doctor of the senior national team, that is the Black Stars, Dr. Prince Pambo, who says Ghana winning the African Cup of Nations 2023 shouldn't be news.
It mean for Ghana to win the AFCON? Nothing. We just have to play well and do our best. Take one game at a time. It's not going to be a miracle for Ghana to win the AFCON. After all, we've won it a number of times. We have been finalists a number of times. We've been semi-finalists a number of times. So really, it's just recent happenings that probably get people feeling that it's a Herculean task for Ghana to win the AFCON. But really, what are the clubs coming? There's Cape Verde, there's Senegal, there's Cameroon, there's Equatorial Guinea. One team will win. There's Ghana, there's Ivory Coast, there's Nigeria. One team will win, and it can be Ghana. Our boys are playing out there, scoring week in, week out. So we should just pray for the best.
Especially for your area, for injury-free.
Exactly. Yes.
Some members of the local organizing committee for the African Games 2023 were in Beijing over the weekend, and we understand they've been able to reach an agreement with Mondo. And Mondo is expected in the country on January 12th to start the construction of the tracks that will be hosting the African Games 2023. The Games are expected to start on March 8th later this year. This is our wrap-up AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abda. We appreciate your time.
Welcome back. You're still watching the AM show, and today on Throwback Thursday, we ask you, which promise by Akufo-Addo government have you seen fulfilled? On 7th January, Mr. Akufo-Addo begins his 8th year as president. But before then, he made a basket full of promises. Some he's achieved, some he hasn't. Which promise are you dying to see him achieve? Today, we bring you a throwback of promises made on the rail sector. Right after, I'll activate the phone lines to hear your views. Watch this.
There are several things that went wrong in our country after we got independence. Was the way we allowed our railway infrastructure to deteriorate. Ghana, we are going to have a first-class railway system. The little I can do to strengthen you and make it possible for you to do your work. Count on me. We're going to do it.
This promise brought hope to many who witnessed the gradual collapse of the once vibrant Ghana Railway Company Limited. The construction of the company started in 1898 in Sekondi, and the rail lines reached Kumasi in 1903. Ghana had rail lines that connected places where the British colonial authorities thought would be most profitable and practical for moving raw materials. From the hinterlands to the Takoradi Harbour, trains brought raw materials including timber, bauxite, manganese and cocoa. They also carried traders, government employees, students and other groups who were needed for the advancement of the country. Many years after Ghana's independence, the railway infrastructure witnessed little maintenance to no maintenance and subsequently ruined. In 2016, Sekondi to Kodjoe line was repaired. by the NDC government, but they were kicked out of power. The NPP government was poised to revive the industry.
It's obvious that rail transport is environmentally friendly, it is efficient, it is less costly, and is generally a more intelligent way of moving people and goods than any other form of transport.
Opariado is a retired Ghana Railway Company worker. He is so attached to his company that even after more than a decade of retirement, he still visits the Nsawam train station to reflect on the company's state of affairs.
To me, mami, if Niana me womuna and I send an see a Jumano, and Yanni, and lady a Jumana say, La boye, a one Sawamuga, a coba, Obanti, a Kuafu, a Dende, a Gwedi Fu, Nebua Winina, and Nia, a Jumana say, Ama. Sisi enkoyi.
Na se government omo say aban say omo sisi.
Mere man kasa de mi hu hwe wo ho. Mi hu sisi bi a ho. Ni a ebubu ma akoma ne se train no nya dwuma bi.
The Nsawam railway station now lies near ruin and ends abruptly after the main Nsawam road. Due to many years of neglect of the rail tracks, thieves have stolen the lines and sold them as scraps.
From these railways crossing up to Chichamante, the risks are nowhere to be found. And now the place where they have to put the railway lines, people are putting up their buildings over there. You just go to Kenya about 4 to 5 years ago and you love the country. Now Kenya trains are flying ahead and we Ghana, even our trains not moving at all.
The place was painted about 2 years ago, but the walls are almost dirty again. The windows are broken. The train station has become a center for the youth to play games and relax. Many silos and warehouses that used to store goods have been converted into churches.
From here, you can see those silos up there. The first silo is where they used to sell motorbikes. The train has been bringing them. That's where they park them. The next is car. The next one is when you want to buy fridge, generator, everything concerning about light gadgets. That's where they sell it. But now all has been shut down and they are using it for church.
The Nsawam locals remember the railway service with a fondness for how it sparked a flurry of activities in their local economy. They believe prices of groceries will reduce once the train starts transporting foodstuff at a cheaper cost.
Because it's here a boy thing. I can't form the market to me about there. Because on baby, we could 15 euro baby do chroma, Bessan Faka baby Dugano. And the Kaya Union and my name is not in an so. Bank at train idea, and Emma baby to me come cry and my fire and so elba for my. By Quano, I said I intimidated the minion this area, you know.
Fribeha train judge high by ama ade youth no bebre nya nka ma sabre ya mban se 12 na boy nka obehu ma no bebre tofi brodo no mo ba ice cream no bia ton no nya kakra egu na bosom no botom but ne ba mrante bebre te am boss.
They are however worried that people have already started stealing stones that will be used to give the rail tracks some stability.
Chip na abuna wode baye no so omo dija abuna gu o menim se yo mo muska na wode to yo se ye garnet kana wode to yo se ye garnet ke dia be sra ban ni on san bra biem na o mehwe abunu any race na ekoro so matutu ntini se rewe no eyejuma pa wo se o ma ne mpemfu no bra no o mo be inspection o mo mehwe
election mu na mo di baye na mo di begu ha. The
stones or ballast have been abandoned. They spread over a long stretch. The area has been taken over by weeds, and perhaps the rusted coaches abandoned there paints the perfect picture of the rail service. This is the Kotoku train station. It is located along the Accra and Nsawam rail lines. Like many other railway platforms, this one too is in a sorry state. Residents of Kotoku are upset about the high cost of road transportation to Accra and are hoping that the government will start running trains soon.
Police force can engine ho ama nyoma ya ibasa tre body e boy pa ti abayombo mode no mai 3 e Kotoku for kasa de bre pa so kwa krobe si o media ansa na osafa kasa bedu ha e bre trade odu ha no traffic.
It could be recalled that the then managing director of the Ghana Railway Company Limited, John Esel, promised that the Accra to Nsawam line would start operations.
No, we have completed the test run. The test run is over. I did that 3 months ago. Today I wanted you to have a few. That is why I brought you. Otherwise, I've completed the test run.
So when is it going to start full operation?
I will give myself up to beginning of September, maybe 1st September, because I have to do an adjustment here and there. I have to see how I'm going to run the Tema train vis-a-vis the Nsawam train. So that will take me about 2 weeks to start.
But due to unsafe lines, the service was terminated. The Accra to Tema train service also started in 2019. The former railway minister, Joe Gatti, joined the team to test the rail lines. It was also cancelled due to safety reasons. The Sekendi to Takrady line is currently the only one that transports passengers. Ghana Railways also ran a test on the Kodjoe to Takwa line, but also cancelled the service due to a derailing accident. The railway station is in a deplorable state, a pale shadow of its former self. The diesel multiple unit which connects the coaches appears to be broken. Squatters have made the area useful by resting there. Some sleep under the coaches. The rail lines have also become dry lines for second-hand clothing dealers, like the clock tower, which no longer tells the time. The government of Ghana cannot tell when the trains will run from Accra to Nsawam. Yao Wusu is the CEO of the Ghana Railway Development Authority.
What I'll tell the people who are yearning to use the line is the fact that we want to make sure we get it right. As I mentioned to you, we want to minimize any risk of potential derailment or safety. All right, so as a matter of fact, we do have plans. Those lines as they exist now, those are the old narrow gauge. We have plans to develop new standard gauge. That may take a little bit longer time. I can't put any timeline. To be honest with you, I cannot put any timeline. I'll be deceiving you if I put any timeline on there, but we are fervently working on it. We want to get the lines running. I know everybody is looking forward to the railway lines running.
The Tema to Mpakadan rail line is perhaps the sector's most visible achievement.
So currently there are 2 main projects ongoing. The first one is the Tema Mpakadan, which is about 97 kilometers. The project is slated to be completed by the end of 2022. It's almost finished. And this line also runs over the lake, about 300-meter suspension or semi-suspension bridge over the Volta Lake. The Tamampakadan is also part of the interconnectivity between Ghana and Burkina Faso. And we have built about roughly 100 kilometers from Takrady all the way to almost to Huni Valley.
Mr. Yaowusu promised in April 2021 that 2 diesel multiple units will be purchased by November 2021 to transport passengers from Tema to Mpakadan.
The Ministry of Finance has approved the purchase of 2 DMUs, which is diesel multiple units, to transport passengers from Tema to Mpakadan. Yes.
So when are they likely to enter into the country?
Most likely before the completion of this project in November, before November.
That promise has not materialized yet.
Those 2 DMUs are still, it takes about 18 months really to order a new DMU. So what we've decided to do is to go for a refurbished one, which we are planning to have probably in the next couple of months, hopefully by the end of 2022.
Page 24 of the 2016 NPP manifesto clearly spells out government's plan to revive the rail sector.
Completely overhauling the western and eastern lines to facilitate the haulage of bauxite, manganese, cocoa, cement, iron ore and other bulk commodities, as well as the transportation of people. The rehabilitation of the eastern line in particular will also facilitate the operation of the Bonkra Inland Port, which has been rendered inoperable as a result of the non-functioning of the line. Developing an integrated light rail transit system for our major cities to connect main business districts with outlying residential locations, extending the Eastern Rail Line from Kumasi to Paga to create an Accra-Kumasi-Paga connection to facilitate haulage of goods from and to the north, and the exploitation of iron ore and other mineral reserves in the north, building a Tema-Akonsombo rail link to tie in with a vibrant and revived Volta Lake transportation system to provide a major avenue for expanded transportation and the resulting economic activity.
Many Ghanaians are waiting with bated breath for a modernized railway system as promised by President Akufo-Addo.
So that was a Throwback Thursday on the railway sector. And as you heard Mr. Yawusu say, the Tema in Pakadan Railway Road was supposed to have been completed in 2022. We are in 2024 and we are yet to see that promise fulfilled. And also we've been reading on myjoyonline.com where Mr. Peter Ameu has said it isn't possible that there won't be any SkyTrain in Ghana. Well, he says that the incumbent government will not be able to provide Ghanaians SkyTrains as earlier indicated. According to him, even in a few years to come, this project cannot be implemented because it requires a significant amount of capital, and government does not have the fiscal space to absorb such a facility. Quote, rail construction takes a lot of time and it is also capital intensive. A kilometer of a railway line is about 4 to 5 times the cost of building a concrete infrastructure in terms of building an asphaltic road. So considering the fiscal space that we have in the country, facilities to absorb it is becoming problematic for the government. And you know, our current debt to GDP, which is in excess of 70%. The SkyTrain that we're talking about is the one that is going to run on columns in the sky, like the ones you see in Dubai, but no agreement has been signed, end quote. And he said this on Adabaka-based TV station, City TV. Well, let's come to the phone lines now. And we want to hear you, want to hear your voice. Call us on 0302211691 or 0302211692. Let's hear from you. Osman, where are you calling us from and what do you think about this? Unfortunately, we lost Oswald on that line. But you can call us 0302211691 or 0302211692. Let's hear which promise the government has made and hasn't fulfilled yet. Hamza from Tamale, what have you to say about this? Hamza, can you speak up for us, please?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please, I will be very happy if you are able to engage some of the legal practitioners to help us. Maybe put a petition before Parliament to come up with a clause that will bind on our president on their promises. Otherwise, the way they are doing the things, they always destroy the nation. At the end of the day, they benefit from their promises, and the citizens will be suffering. So every party will come with their promises. At the end of the day, they will not be able to fulfill it. Then later, you see them even changing the name and then putting it back as their promise. So I don't know if you can engage the legal person to see if something can be done. So that at the end of the day, whoever is given the power to rule the nation, at the end of the day, will be able to prosecute the person if the person is not able to fulfill the promises. Maybe we can give them percentage. If you are able to get to that percentage, maybe you are free from prosecution. But otherwise, we'll continue to do this and Ghana will never follow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hamza. Prince George, what do you have to say?
Thank you.
morning.
Good morning. Can you please speak up for us?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, one problem they made some time ago concerning Ho to Joje road. For almost 2 years running, the road has still been there, and it's very bad. It's very terrible. So we are thinking this year, if the government can fulfill that particular promise by constructing a prescription road for us from Joje to Ho, it will be better for us.
Right. Thank you so much, Prince. Nana Kwame, you're calling us from Ho. What do you have to say?
Good morning, madam.
Good morning.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too. Thank you.
Okay, madam, I just want them to focus on Accra Kumasi Highway. Madam, just recently I passed that road and it's very terrible. So if they can focus on that way, and that road is heading towards the Ashanti region, which is the stronghold of the NPP, which we are all hoping that they will do that road for us so that everything will be fine. I wish you yourself you pass through that road to Kumasi and see how the road is bad.
Right. Thank you so much. So, from Spintex, Ben, what do you have to say about the promises government has made?
Yes, please. What I have to say is, I remember I promised to give every police station a CCTV camera. I'm hoping that that thing is done because it will help our nation to also develop. And also a concrete road. I think that one too is also a good thing when it happens. Yeah. Thank you so much. And you can still call us 030-221-1691 or 030-211-692 to tell us your views about what government has promised and hasn't fulfilled. Let's go to where are you calling us from and your name, please?
Good morning. My name is Boris Kodjoe. I'm calling you from Wa.
Great. Let's hear from you.
Yes. The president promised us one constituency, $1 million, and he couldn't deliver on his promise. And again, I want to remind the president that he promised the people of Wawet that he will improve upon the road of Wawet from Wa to Dormo and from Dormo to Wochau and from Wochau to Ga, which has not been fulfilled yet. And the road from Point Tana to Naha has been promised to work on, which has not been worked on. So I want to remind them about it. Thank you.
Thank you too. Now we have Michael from Teshi. Michael.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you speak up for us, please?
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please, I don't know if it's a digression. Yes, I don't know if it's a digression. But the transport minister came to PSC Tamashipyard. That has been dissolved now. That the workers will not be sacked. Now that I'm talking to you, all the workers PSC Tamashipyard have been sacked. And the current CEO, who has to be a part of PHA, and then the cater of port that is being paid almost every month. There's no port to start. Still the CEO of PSA Tamashipyard, and he's not.
Well,
Hello?
Michael, we can't substantiate the claims you are making, but we promise to look into it. But right now, we want to appreciate your thoughts. The government made some promises. Which ones do you think he hasn't fulfilled? Unfortunately, we lost Michael there, but we have Theodore. Theodore, what do you have to say about government's promises?
Yes. When the president was sworn into office, I listened to him when he was delivering his speech to the state and the whole world. He stated emphatically that he's going to fight against corruption. That is a very huge promise that he made to this country, people of this country, and the entire world. I want the government to fulfill that promise and fight against corruption in our society.
Mm-hmm.
And also make sure that justice is delivered to each and everyone in this country fairly. Things happening to the ordinary Ghanaians in this country is not helping us at all. That makes the government work going down, and no one is seeing what he's doing. He is trying to do a lot, but there are some other people who open their arms, collecting everything into their basket. So if the government can fight against corruption, get rid out of these people in his government, he will stand well. The government will stand well.
But you think the office of the special prosecutor is not doing enough?
The office of the special prosecutor, I think his hand has been tied. His hand has been tied all over.
Right. All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your thoughts there. Now, we have Saraga from Medina. What do you have to say? Saraga, can you speak up for us, please? We can hardly hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning once
My
again.
name is Medina Libya Kote.
Great. What do you have to say about government's promises?
But the government promises. When government promise all of us, when government promise all of us in 2016, a whole lot of promises, and they couldn't fulfill those promises as Ghanaians. They sat down, unconcerned, and went and voted for them. Even though for me, at least in 2020 elections, they didn't win, they have stolen the election. So this coming 2024 election, each and every Ghanaian should be vigilant to make sure that this government will put them first. Why? Because they promise, they lie to us. They don't lie. So please, my plea is not about Domama or AGC or NPP or the supply or whatever. It's about the destiny of this country. It's the destiny of this country that we are going to fight for. If you sit down somewhere unconcerned, I'm not an AGC, I'm not a PNC, I'm not a NPP, and you said these people to continue this lies and corruption and daylight robbery government. Daylight robbery government.
Thank you.
Imagine how much received from 2012 to 2016, both loans and taxes, everything. How much did he receive? And look at the investment that he did in this country. The investment they did in gas pipeline, in the gas business. See how much we are earning. Today, without problem about me, they took more than 6.something billion dollars. But they couldn't do it. If you ask them, free education. If you ask them, free education. If you ask them, free education. Is it free education alone promise they are coming to do? No. They are promised to pay. And we have no pay. So it's high time each and every Ghanaian to stand on his toes and make sure 2024 December we voted them out. Thank you very much. God bless you.
We're grateful too for your comments this morning, and as we rightly said, you could call us on 030-221-1691 or 0302-211-692 to tell us your views on government's promises. What has the Akufo-Addo government promised and not done? Or what do you want to see done? Or even if they've promised and they've fulfilled it, let us hear it. Ahmed from Yendi, what do you have to say?
Thank you very much. I think one of the things that I saw a lot of things when I was the one district, one factory.
Okay, can you speak up, please? I can hardly hear you.
I'm just going to talk about the one district, one factory.
Right.
Joy News unveiled the documentary a few days ago. It was really, it opened our eyes what really the government was doing. And I would say that it was really, really disappointing. And some of these students voted for the Nanado and the government, but apparently they were all promises from maybe they're just personally, but this would be a good idea. So let's say to the people, this thing, the competence is really dividing us. I must be honest. It's dividing us as a people, as communities, even as families. Because the worst economic situations are even making families lose touch. You can't provide for a brother or a sister or a sibling today because you yourself are not in a place well put to do that. And then it can cause certain issues. We need this economy, and they are telling us they'll come back and fix it next 8 years. Why not now? We need it now. This government has failed to do that. So this one decision should really happen. It's very important to us. I think if it doesn't happen, we shouldn't be coming to second anything else. I'm very grateful.
We are also very grateful to you for your thoughts there. On the line now is Habakkuk. What do you have to say about government promises? What do you want to see fulfilled this year?
Well, thank you for the opportunity given to me.
You're welcome.
First of all, I would like to encourage all Ghanaians to stand up and fight for the nation as our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, to boot out this wicked, criminal, incompetent Baulaya and Nana Akufo-Addo, the wicked president.
To go easy on your words.
Because these people are just here to steal our money and they are killing us.
Habakkuk, I understand that you are not impressed, but please tone down on the choice of words you're using this morning. I beg you.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Kindly
First
apologize.
of all, I would even like if the OSP have to charge some people for the chippings they've put in there for causing financial loss to the state, because those chippings are now in the bushes, not even used for the railways. And it is our money, our hard-earned tax that we're used to purchase those things because of election, and they have been left in the bush. So people are supposed to be accountable for it. Every day they say there is no job. The road that has been constructed, the new road which has been constructed at Nanakro from Gate to School Junction, that new road, come and see how the road is. Since they constructed the road, all the road is now weedy. Even they start employ Zoom Lion people to be sweeping the road, all the road is weedy. Some of the pavements have, even very soon the road will get deteriorated. And it is our taxes that was used to construct this road. Come and see all the road, the wheels on the road, and the sand, even all is lack of maintenance. So that's why the railway, even the one that John Mahama started as Kodjoe to tackle, they go and look at how it is now. Even they don't have money to buy fuel to run it. Workers are not being paid. What kind of government is they will come and be speaking some kind of English as if they are the only people who know how to speak English? God help Ghana. Thank you this morning for the great work you are doing.
Thank you. We have Cole on the line. Cole, what do you have to say about government's promises?
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the show. Please tell us.
God bless you.
Thank you, Amen. Which government promises do you want to see fulfilled this year?
I think I want to see local government system. I mean, the power structures that have been created around local government, I mean, it's creating problems because the assemblies are the heart of development in this country. But this government has created power structures. It's not allowing the assemblies to work, to do its work. Where do you come with the assemblies are there? Then we go and create Minister for Water and Sanitation. We go and create Minister for Special Initiatives. Which we go and create, Northern Development Authority, Middle Belt Development Authority, Coastal Development Authority. Meanwhile, the same thing, what they are doing, the same thing the assembly is supposed to be doing. And we say we want this country to move forward. We are joining up money to put in their pocket instead of giving it to the assembly to do what they're supposed to do. Two, I think this government has failed. It's all the promises. The one village, one dam. Where is it? The money thrown into the one village, one dam has become waste. We cannot find the money. And the dams are not there for farmers to use. I think our appealing to this government is to make sure. Lastly, they hand over power peaceful to the incoming government. Because the president himself has told us that he cannot do it again, but the one that's coming after him will come and do the work. And I know the one that's coming after him is John Mahama. So he should hand over power peacefully. We don't want any problem coming there 2024. Have a blessed morning.
Much for your thoughts there. Now we have Nana Kwame from Takwa. Nana Kwame, I hope you are still on the line with us.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Which promises do you want the government to fulfill this year?
Yes. This year, I want government to arrest the NDC people who have caused financial loss to the state, so that the NDC people will be quiet a little. And at the same time, too, I want him to do the right thing that he is doing for Mother Ghana. That's it.
Thank you, Nana Kwame. And so we're still listening to your voices about government's promises, and most of you have been talking about roads that haven't been constructed. But let's go to Second D now and also talk to another Nana Kwame there. Nana Kwame, thank you for coming on the AM show. What do you think? Unfortunately, we lost Nana Kwame from Second D there. But we'd like you to know that we appreciate your voices. Let's hear more from you. We have Gilbert on the line now. Gilbert, what do you have to say?
Good morning.
Good morning.
What I have to say is they have failed all their promises. They have failed all, not even one that they have succeeded.
Particularly, which one stands out for you?
Particularly our inflation figures. GDP, whatever, the economic statistics. Which one is working? Which one? In fact, you yourself, you know that they have failed. But on the more serious note, I wanted to say something. This morning, when you were talking with a lawyer, Bobby Banson, you made a comment that former President Mahama is making a lot of noise about 24-hour economy. I don't think he's making a lot of noise. Sometimes you have to at least choose your words well. To say that he's making a lot of noise, I think it was not the best. Thank you. Good morning.
I understand you, but I think you are misinterpreting what I said. What I mean is that he's, for want of a better expression, he's, popularizing his 24-hour economy policy, not to insult what he is doing. No,
but you are communicating to the masses. You don't expect everybody to get it. Even Bobby Barnes is subtly and
unfortunately, we have lost him on the line. Theophilus, what do you have to say? Is Theophilus on the line with us? It doesn't seem like Theophilus is on the line now. But we are grateful, so grateful for your time here with us. Your voice is very important to us. And that's what makes the AM show, because we are here because of you. And so thank you so much for sharing your views with us on government's promises. But before we continue, listen to these tunes. I have something to tell you. And so that is Lord Kenya with Enyomno, and this reminds you of the 90s, right? That tells you that the 90s Jam is coming off tomorrow, just tomorrow, Friday. Brace yourself, party people. Joy FM's 90s Jam is back and ready to transport you to the good old days. I know. My favorite was Mysterious Girl of Andre, you know. He sang that song and I loved it. But it's happening at City Galleria Mall adjacent to the Accra Mall. And it will take place tomorrow, 5th January, from 8 p.m. till 4 a.m. We're going back in time to the era of baggy jeans, combat boots, and music that defined a generation. Now the City Galleria rooftop will be alive and will be well lit, dance floor, a VIP lounge, and a stage that takes you on a trip down memory lane. It's not just an event. If you know about 90s Jam, you know it's not just an event. It's a chance to relive the 90s like never before. So please, it's just tomorrow. Mark your calendars and be there. I'll be there and I'll boogie down like you just saw me doing on the set. You know, I'm going to do that one proper. So if you want to see me or dance with me, at least, please come to City Galleria tomorrow from 8 p.m. till 4 a.m. and we'll be boogieing till the wee hours of the morning. And so we'll be bringing you more tunes of the 90s later as the show goes on. We'll be right back. Well, now let's do some politics. The NPP has begun vetting parliamentary candidates in certain constituencies. And in the 175 constituencies, 400 forms were picked, 373 were returned, and 23 have gone unopposed. However, the voting or the vetting process in some areas have been riddled with violence. In the northern region, for instance, the Bimbilla constituency experienced some disturbances. Supporters of one of the aspirants contesting the slot, that's Alaji Zako, vandalized the party's office after the party supposedly eliminated him from the list of candidates who are supposed to be vetted today. Even though Kalman's returned, we want to find out how safe the process will be till Friday. Also in the Ashanti region, you know, MP for Adansi Asokwa Katie Hammond, along with 14 other NPP executives in the constituency, has filed a petition seeking the disqualification of an aspirant, Sami Benfo Dakwa. We'll delve into that as well. But joining me now is Winston of our political desk. But just before that, a summary of the statistics that we have. Now, as you can see on your screens, we have 137 constituencies. Now, the forms that have been picked so far, 400, but just 373 have been returned, and 23, like I said earlier, have gone unopposed. Now, before you is constituencies by region, and Ashanti region is leading with 41 constituencies, followed by the Eastern region with 24 constituencies, and Greater Accra 14, then the Central with 10, Western with 9, and the Northern region with 9 as well, and Bono region with 5. We have 4 in Ahafo Northeast, and 3 in Bono East, Upper West, Savannah, Volta, Western North, and just 2 in the Upper East region. So joining us is a deputy head of the political desk, Winston Amwa. Winston, Happy New Year. It's the first time I'm speaking to you this year. How are you doing?
Well, we're fine. Happy New Year to you also. And welcome to 2024.
Thank you, sir. I suppose you're enjoying your rest.
Not exactly, because you have called me.
We're sorry for that, but let's trouble you a little while. But you've been following this vetting process so far. What have you made of it?
Well, I mean, before we get into the vetting process and how it's going, of course, it started yesterday. It's expected to end tomorrow. So I'm sure by close of day tomorrow, we'll have a better idea of who's made what and who can contest in the NPP's parliamentary primaries for January 27. But this is with the NPP's parliamentary primaries. Now, this is very important for a number of factors. First, you know that the NPP started the whole idea of breaking the eight. And in the Fourth Republic, in 2021, we had what we term as the hang parliament, when the NPP going into election 2020 had some 169 seats, eventually losing about 32 of them to 137, and had to resort to the Fomena constituency, where the current second deputy speaker is, to have the majority in parliament. And so, going into this particular primary, the NPP would seek to select candidates that would be able to help the party. Now, they've done the first part on December 2, but they want to ensure that for constituencies where they have sitting members of parliament, they are able to maintain it. And in order to maintain these seats, a few things are important for the NPP, for instance. You have to ensure that the right persons are selected. One of the reasons that affected them in 2020, for instance, is that the party used the machinery sometimes to disqualify certain candidates. And I know, for instance, that there were some members of the committee that said, if I knew this sitting member of parliament was going to lose the primary, I would have disqualified his closest contender. So if you take that off, this election is important because if the NPP is unable to have majority seats in parliament, then this whole idea of breaking the eight, because we've also had the circumstance of, sometimes elections going into the second round, and whenever elections have gone into the second round, the party with the most parliamentary seats tends to win in the Fourth Republic.
Right, Winston, and you put it there rightly. But considering the recent incidents and controversies surrounding the vetting process, how crucial is it for the NPP to navigate these internal challenges swiftly and effectively before the general election?
Well, unlike 2020, where the NPP had its primaries in June because of COVID-19, and yet they're having primaries in all constituencies. This year they've had primaries in orphan constituencies, also 137, and they are going to have, these 137. It is instructive to note that, Fomena, that has a member of parliament with a majority, will not be taking part in this election. Also because we've seen it happening before, for instance, that when Joe Aseus, who was independent member of parliament for Bekwai when he won the 2008 elections, by 2012 September, he crossed Kappa to the NPP, and that's when they went for the primary. That's something that you may see there. But this is it.
Well,
yes. Okay, go ahead with your question.
No, just complete your statement.
Yes. So they have 137, and they have one whole year to election 2024. So if they do not repeat the things of the past, and you can actually see, I've been monitoring happenings in Nandom. You've talked about the Bimbela situation, in the Nandom situation. There's been, attempts to frustrate the candidate in Bimbela. There's been lots of controversies here and there. If these things are not checked, what normally happens is that the candidates who are disqualified, if they feel they're unfairly dealt with, would actually go a long way to prove a point, and they normally would prove a point by ensuring that the party loses the parliamentary election.
Well, what, in your opinion, are the constituencies to look out for, particularly in this election, to make any form of difference for the party?
Well, it's important to look at Dom Kwabinya constituency for a lot of reasons, but most importantly, this will be the third time that Sarah Josafo and Mike Okwe Jr. will be contesting. They did that in 2011, the time that Professor Mike Okwe was stepping down from Parliament, so he had his son Mike Okwe wanting to contest. He lost to Ajosafo. He showed up again in 2020, lost narrowly. Following that defeat, Ajosafo had all manner of problems with the party, particularly when she went to the U.S. and was needed in Parliament and wasn't around. Now, you want to ask yourself, has the party forgiven Ajosafo? For many watchers, they believe that this could just be a done deal. But you've seen Ajosafo campaigning and talked about how she went there to the States, wanted to have a child, didn't get it, trying to play the emotional card. What could be the strategy of Michael Bay going into the 27th of January election? That remains to be seen. Another person is shown up wanting to contest, so it may not just be, for many it looks like a two-horse race, but not that person who's decided to contest. What does she bring on board? Whose candidate is she? Will she be the spoiler? That remains to be seen. So yes, you'd have to take Dom Kwabinya constituency. You also would want to look at a place like, Adansi Asokwa, Katie Hammond's constituency, for instance. They are petitioning against a particular candidate. If the candidate is successful, how will that actually impact Katie Hammond's chances? If you go to Bekwai, you have a COP member, who's been in the news when you had him in Badi State, which he had made with his voice. plotting the removal of the IGP, has decided to go and contest as the parliamentary candidate for the NPP in that constituency. You know that Joe is also not contesting in that constituency. So what would be his chances? Would he be successful this time around? And in a place like Swami, where Osechi Mensabun is not contesting, you ask yourself, who would be that person who would take over from Osechi Mensabun? So if you go to the western region, we have constituencies like Sekendi, Andre Japamesa, where you have somebody challenging him, or at the end of the vetting would know whether the person is successful or not. You also go to the Esia constituency, where the minister in charge of public enterprises also faces competition. So these are just some of the constituencies you want to focus. When it comes to the Greater Accra region, you want to find out, I've talked about some Kwabinya, what could also happen in Ablekuma West, for instance. That's the ethno.
Well, Winston, take a pause for me right here. Let's listen to Adjoa Safo and Michael Quay at yesterday's vetting in Dom Kwabinya.
And your child does something wrong, and you pick up a belt or a cane to beat up the child, and the child immediately kneels and says, "Mommy, I'm sorry." You will be touched, and you leave the cane or the belt. It takes a woman of courage. It takes a courageous politician to accept that I've done something wrong. Forgive me. And that is what has touched the hearts of the people of Dome Kwabinya. And I know they still would vote me into power.
Well, I mean, we're very confident, but at the same time, we're humble to acknowledge that everything is up to God. I contested the first time in 2011. I lost. I didn't contest in 2016 because I didn't want it to look like you are chasing a seat around. I wanted to give ample time for 2 terms before I came again in 2020.
Well, Winston, so you heard that what Adjoa Safo is trying to play on the, I don't know whether to say she's trying to play on the emotions of the electorates in her constituency. And of course, Michael Quay to, pressing in with his decision to contest again after losing. What do you make of their comments so far?
Well, I mean, Adjoa Safo, anytime she's had opportunity, has said something different, while she was in the States, she talked about how her child was not well, and so she had to go and take care of her child. And so as the minister in charge of gender, children, and social protection, charity, they say, begins at home. She comes back to Ghana. She talks about meeting women groups, particularly in the market areas, and talking about how she went to have a child. She didn't get it. And now she's talking about when your child wronged you and the child immediately says sorry. I mean, anytime she's had an opportunity, she's tried to, play on the emotions of people. She's tried to play victim in some circumstances. Well, the delegates will decide. If you speak to some of the delegates to give you the impression that they are not going to forgive her. But of course, you can't trust delegates. I mean, Sir John of blessed memory said, fear delegates. And, Dom Kwabinya in 2020 was one of the hotly contested constituencies. And the delegates in that constituency, unfortunately, will tell you how a lot of them walked away with lots of goodies. We want to see what will happen this time around. With money play a role? From what we've seen about our politics so far, it looks like money is what just plays the role. And so if money is going to play the role, then who has the most money likely may win. But of course, delegates these days have also become wiser, and there are some of these delegates who would, insist on punishing you, for what you've done for the party. I mean, the other point is that, yes, Adjoa Safo was a member of parliament, but if you have to realize that, if you take the fact that the NPP actually wanted Adjoa Safo out of parliament, took her to the privileges committee, they have an opportunity and right in front of them to disqualify her. Okay? If you wanted Adjoa Safo out of parliament,
right,
and the speaker didn't let that happen, what you need to do is to prove to the world that you actually meant it by disqualifying her, because now she's come to you. Would that be done? I do not know. I mean, I'm sure when the NPP is done with the vetting, would know. But if you ask me, if the NPP really wanted Adjoa Safo out, and they want to prove to the whole world that they do not endorse what she did, they have to disqualify her.
Well, Winston, we'll be turning our attention to the Ashanti region now and going to Nana Boakye Yadom at the Asokwa constituency. I think there's something happening there. Nana Boakye, what's going on there?
You can see a number of supporters joining their preferred candidates here at the regional party office in the Ashanti region. These are supporters of lawyer Vincent Frimpong Menu, the deputy CEO, and also others over on my right are also supporters of incumbent member of parliament for the Kwadaso constituency, the Honorable Dr. Kingsley Nyako. And so they are having their vetting this morning on the first floor of the NPP party office in the Ashanti region. And also member of parliament for the good people of the Bantima constituency, Francis Asenso-Boachi, who doubles as Minister for Housing, is also here alongside his opponent, Raphael Ejapon, is also here. They are having their vetting on the second floor of the regional party office. We have to get interactive with lawyer Vincent, who is seeking to unseat the incumbent member of parliament for the Kwadaso constituency, the Honorable Dr. Kingsley Nyako. Lawyer Vincent is here. He's here to get into the vetting room to face scrutiny. And so let's get interactive with lawyer Vincent. Honorable, you're yet to face the vetting committee. How does it look like this morning?
It looks encouraging. We are prepared for it. We're going to talk party matters, and we're going to share our knowledge and express the view about what we can do to advance the NPP party within our constituency. So we are ready.
It looks as if you are very, very optimistic of victory. But then after this process, the main election, I always ask all the aspirants, the main one is on the 27th of January. What is the preparation like for you when it comes to 27th of January? Because you are coming up against your incumbent member of parliament, Dr. Kingsley Nyako.
The polling station executives are going to decide. We have shared our message. They have compared the two of us. Even though I'm not MP yet, they've seen all the things that I've been doing for the constituency. And they feel that this is the time for them to make a change that will bring them servant leadership, a change that will bring them development, a change that is transformational. And that is what I am all for. I have been engaging them. We've spoken at length. They know my track record in the constituency, they know my track record in the party, and they know my track record as a development practitioner and the things that I have been able to do. And they are yearning for me. So on 27th, we are confident that we are going to win. We are going to be the victors.
Let me bring you back to the vetting process today. So what should the vetting committee expect from you as you proceed into the vetting room for your vetting this morning?
Clarity, honesty. I'm going to share my vision. And depending on the questions they ask, I'm going to be clear and straightforward as possible. We are going to give them a very clear message as to what we can do to ensure that the NPP party is very strong in the constituency, as to what we are going to do to ensure that we mobilize the people and increase the votes of Kwadaso constituency so it can contribute to the national votes so we are able to break the 8.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. And so that is lawyer Vincent Frimpong Menu, who is also seeking to unseat the incumbent member of parliament for the Kwadaso constituency, Dr. Kingsley Nyako. And so the supporters of lawyer Vincent Frimpong Menu are here. But then, as I earlier said, the supporters of the Honorable Member of Parliament for the Kwadaso constituency himself, Dr. Kingsley Nyako, he's here. The supporters are also here. He's the first person to enter the vetting room, and then later onwards, his opponent, lawyer Vincent Frimpong Menu, would also proceed into the vetting room for scrutiny. And so, Mamiesi, this is the atmosphere at the Ashanti Regional Party office. But then in my shot, you can see the Member of Parliament for Achuma Nwabeja, Emmanuel Anshe, seated here. He would also go through the vetting process in no time, but then we have to get a word or two from lawyer Emmanuel Anshe. Honorable, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
You have your vetting this morning. How does it look like for you before you enter the vetting room?
It's a normal vetting. It's a normal tradition and routine that we go through. The vetting, I'm coming for the vetting. And now we are yet to meet them to engage them with the vetting.
This is not your first time. You've been through this process for a while. But then, how do you think this time around is going to be different from the previous years? Or you feel it's going to be the same?
Depends on what terms of the word.
If I'm looking at the number of aspirants we have this year, normally we would have it at one place, but this time around we have it in 2 different centers.
Oh, I think it's just all to fast track the process. So we are in for the process. So we are just to fast track the process.
Let's look at the contest itself in your constituency. It looks more fierce. How hopeful are you after this vetting process, and how ready are you for January 27th?
I'm very, very hopeful about my victory. I'm going to win. I'm going to win the primaries, then the entire election. I'm very hopeful about that.
And then is your party breaking the 8? I always want to ask you that.
Hopefully we'll break the 8 with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to break the 8.
Thank you so much for joining us. And so that is the Member of Parliament for Atuman Wabeja, Emmanuel Anhre. He's supposed to be in the vetting room in the next hour, and also his opponents would follow. And so we want to give you how things look, the whole atmosphere at the Ashanti Regional Party office. As I earlier stated, the Member of Parliament for Bantama constituency, and also the Minister for Housing, Francis Asensu-Boakye, is already facing the vetting committee up there. His opponent, Raphael Ejapon, the brother of Kennedy Ohini Ejapon, is also up there facing the vetting committee. And so this is how it looks like at the Ashanti Regional Party office of the New Patriotic Party. Let's get to the streets of the Okrofrom constituency, where the regional party office is located. And so up there you can see the supporters of lawyer Raphael Ejapon, the toughest opponent this time around for the Member of Parliament for the Bantama constituency, Francis Asensu-Boakye. And so these are the supporters of lawyer Raphael Ejapon coming through the NPP Ashanti Regional Party office. And also earlier on we heard from lawyer Vincent Frimpong Menum, who is seeking to unseat the Member of Parliament for the good people of the Kwadaso constituency. And so the atmosphere here at the Ashanti Regional Party office of the New Patriotic Party is quite tense, as a lot of supporters are here waiting for their preferred candidates to also come through the vetting process. And later onwards, we would also have some aspirants joining us. But then I have to give you updates on how the vetting process is going to look like today. And so day 2 of the vetting for parliamentary aspirants at the regional office of the New Patriotic Party, where I am currently, we have the Kwadaso constituency, Asante Achim Central, and Asante Achim South. They are having their vetting this morning here at the regional party office. And then later in the afternoon, we would have we have Bosome Freho, Afija Kwabre South, and then Drabin at the party office. And later onwards, we were supposed to have Bantama, Atuman Wabeja South, and Atuman Punya later in the afternoon, but then they've been brought to this morning. And so as I speak to you, aspirants from the Bantama constituency and also Atuman Wabeja South and Atuman Punya are having their vetting this morning. And then also later at the party office, or the office of the Vice President, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, at the Asokwa constituency, we would have Ofinso South, and then also retired COP Alex Mensah going through the vetting process today. And so COP Alex Mensah would be having his vetting at exactly 9 a.m. at the Asokwa constituency office of the New Patriotic Party. And later onwards, we would have Odotobri constituency, aspirants from Odotobri constituency. And then after 12, we would have aspirants from Kwabri East, Ofinso North, and then Subin constituency. And so this is how it would look like at the Ashanti Regional Party office and also the Asokwa constituency office of the New Patriotic Party when it comes to the vetting process today. But then I must say, Mamiesi, that after hours of deliberations yesterday, we have picked up the information that the vetting committee have cleared Mr. Same Benfo Dakwa, who was facing some difficulties during the vetting process. I mean, a petition came up against him, a petition filed by the Honorable Katie Hammond and also some 14 constituency executives. And so after hours of deliberation, we can say that the vetting committee has cleared Mr. Same Benfo to contest the Adansi Asokwa constituency parliamentary seat on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party, in fact, the primaries itself. And so later onwards, we'll get up to speed details on what transpired after the deliberations by the vetting committee. And so clearly, Mr. Same Benfo Dakwa has been cleared, alongside 3 others, including Mr. Katie Hammond himself. And so for Adansi Asokwa constituency, we would have Katie Hammond, the embattled Same Benfo Dakwa, and and then 2 others contested for the parliamentary primaries of the New Patriotic Party. And so supporters of Raphael Lejapon and then supporters of Francis Asenso-Boakye on the streets of Kofrom as we await them to conclude their vetting process this morning. And so the breakdown I have given to you, and then also the atmosphere, charged atmosphere at the Kofrom constituency, where we have the second day of the NPP vetting process for parliamentary aspirants. In fact, for parliamentary constituencies where we have parliamentary candidates on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party. And so this is how the atmosphere looks like at the Ashanti Regional Party office of the New Patriotic Party. And so let's see if we'll get some of the supporters to talk to. And let's get inside there and see if we can get some of the supporters to talk to.
Actually, I realize that it's kind of a packed day for you.
On the 27th, the wine airport. And so that is a supporter of Raphael Lejapon, the brother of the Honorable Kennedy Ohini Ejapon, who is also coming to face the vetting committee this morning. And so Raphael Lejapon is in the vetting room, and later we'll get to interact with Raphael Lejapon and also Francis Asenso-Boakye. We are trying to get others to speak to, but it looks as if everybody here is waiting for the vetting process, and so it looks quite tense here. And so later onwards, Mamiesi will bring you up to speed details as to what goes on here at the regional party office of the New Patriotic Party. We'll get to hear from Nana Boakye, Henry Nana Boakye, the national organizer of the NPP, and then also Chairman Bernard Nchubuasiaku, Chairman Wontumi, the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party. And so we'll bring you all the details, and then later onwards, we'll get to hear from the vetting committee itself. And so, Mamiesi, over to you.
Thank you so much, Nana Boakye Yadom, giving us a comprehensive report from the Ashanti Regional Vetting process. Winston, you're still with me, right? You've been listening to Nana Boakye Yadom. What do you make of events happening in the Ashanti region?
The Bantama constituency is one that you should look out for. The fact that you have Asenso Boakye, who is Minister for Western Housing. Now, I mean, this is it with the Bantama constituency. Now, the fact that in 2004, prior to 2004, you had a Bantama constituency, then it was divided, so you had Asokwa Shire and Bantama again, and so you had Cecilia Dapa then becoming Member of Parliament after the division, but that name Bantama remained. When she stepped down in 2012, it was the Honorable Henry Kokofu who became Member of Parliament. He did 1 term, and he lost to Daniel Boakye, who also did 1 term and lost to Francis Asenso-Boakye. Would history repeat itself? Would Francis Asenso-Boakye also be a 1-term MP in Bantama constituency? Well, we will see. And that's why there's a lot of focus on the Bantama constituency. I told you, you heard, some of the supporters of Raphael Lejapon say that, I think 2 more days. The thing about Raphael Lejapon is that he's a brother of Kennedy Ejapon. And so going into this election, he's indicated that he has the support of the polling station. I think he actually came to him to contest. That's always what politicians would say when they decide to contest. But there's also an indication that sometimes even the polling agents or the polling station executives will walk up to you wanting you to contest also because their belief is that when there are more people contesting, the more money they get. Sadly, we've talked about money crisis, condemned it, we've said that this politics should not be, election of members of parliament or parliamentary candidates should not be based on who has more money. But unfortunately, so that's what some of, the delegates would do. I was talking earlier about the Adamsa Sokwa, so now we have the information that Samuel Benfo is declared by the vetting committee. So you ask the question, what would become of that particular constituency? Let's wait for the 27th of January. But let me just take you to the Western region. I need to see this quickly before you go, because I know you have an interview at 9 a.m.
Before you go to the Western region, Winston, COP Alex Mensah is also competing in the Bekwai constituency. What are his chances?
Well, for now, COP Alex Mensah, he's been campaigning and he's been talking about how he's
a party person and he's been fighting for the party. And some of the times when you get into his constituency, some of his campaign messages, the fact that because of his love for the party, he's doing everything to see the party break the aim. Early days yet, the campaign would heat up after the vetting, and then after we know those who've qualified. Once that is done, but he seems to be enjoying some support, within the Bakwa constituency. Let's see what happens after the vetting.
Right. And you are talking about the Western region.
Yes, the Western region, and particularly in the Estikade-Ketan constituency, because the current Member of Parliament, the incumbent Member of Parliament, Joe Gatti, will not be contesting again. Now, you have a former Regional Secretary of the NPP, Charles Onyawan-Tobisi, and you have the Deputy Director General of the NLA, also going. Now, these two, so you ask yourself the question, who takes over from Joe Gatti? Would it be Charles Gatti, or would it be the Deputy Director General of the NLA? And that's one of the areas you have to look out for. Charles Gatti seems to be enjoying some good support within the constituency. In the build-up to the NPP presidential primaries, he did a lot of work for one of the candidates. His candidate excelled in that constituency. You want to ask yourself, will that transfer into votes for him? Well, it remains to be seen. His wife has become the NPP's parliamentary candidate for the Kaikwe North constituency. If Charles Gatti also gets the nod, we'll see whether you have a husband and wife from two different constituencies in parliament.
Right, Winston, but before you go, Bimbilla has experienced some disturbances yesterday. Their vetting is supposed to be going on today and whatnot. Given that particular constituency, how would you assess the overall security in these areas put in place to ensure that the vetting process runs smoothly?
Well, Bimbilla is the constituency of the defense minister, and there will be an indictment if there isn't much security. And so that's why when you were talking earlier, you said that some crime has been brought there. Sorry about that. So, I expect Bimbilla to be calm. It's the constituency of the defense minister. So whatever happens, they will bring calm there. What I want to see is who makes it to contest with the defense minister, Dominic Mutulu, who's been Member of Parliament since 2008. So let's just wait for the vetting process to be over. Once the process is over, we get to see those who've made it, and then we'll begin the further analysis from there. Right.
Thank you so much for your time here, Winston. We're grateful for your time. But just before you go, have we lost Winston there? Unfortunately, we do have. But we'll also be speaking to a political analyst, and he will also be sharing with us his views on the process so far. But we can go back to Nana Boachi Yadom, who is still in the Ashanti region, observing the process there.
It was okay. I think it's a usual process. This is the fourth time that I'm experiencing this, so I saw it was a normal process that I went through. Yeah.
Now, looking at the Bantama constituency, this is the first time I am personally witnessing a fierce contest in the Bantama constituency. But then I don't know if it's the same for you. But how does it look like?
This is the fiercest competition we've had. The fiercest competition, I believe, was between myself and Honorable Kokofu. That was the fiercest as far as I'm concerned. This one, for me, it's a no match. When you go to the constituency, those who are voting, they see a big difference. Yes. Like a difference between a VIP bus and Pragia. Yes. That is the difference. It's a no match. I don't see this as a competition at all. Because it will take a nation record to choose my opponent over me, given the unprecedented levels of development I've brought in Bantama against an opponent who has no record of active service to the party and to the competition. It will never happen in Bantama.
But people are saying that this looks like the biggest showdown in parliamentary history, in the parliamentary primaries.
It's all noise. It's all noise. Politics is local. If you want to know what is going on, go to the ground, speak to the delegates. Don't listen to what you see on social media, TikTok and Facebook and all that. Go to the ground. Politics is local.
Would it reflect in the 27th January elections?
It will not reflect. I'm expecting a landslide victory, and 20 27th, you will come back to me and confirm what I'm saying.
But people are saying that looking at the results between the parliamentary and the presidential candidate you supported, that is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and then Kennedy Japan, the gap was not wide. And so this time, it is between you, Asenso Boakye, and Kennedy Japan's brother. It makes it quite difficult for you.
That has no bearing on what is happening in the parliamentary primary. No bearing. This candidate has no record of active service to the party, active service to the community. He's never done anything. In fact, really and truly, he doesn't qualify. But I don't want to pursue that, because I don't want anybody to think that I'm afraid of this competition. Yes. I don't want anybody to think that this guy is a match. It's a no match, and I'm from here. We've started a campaign. I've already started engaging the delegates. The development that they've seen in the constituency is unprecedented. No other MP has been able to bring that type of development, that kind of development to Bantama, and it will take a nation record to choose that guy over me.
And so 27th, what are we expecting from Francis Asenso Boakye? All right, so Mamiesi, that is the Member of Parliament for Bantama constituency. He just ended his vetting. He's coming up against the brother of Kennedy Ohine Japan, who is also seeking to unseat Francis Asenso Boakye. And so later on, we'll get to hear from Raphael Japan also. But then the Member of Parliament for Bantama constituency, Francis Asenso Boakye, is done with the vetting process today. And so later on, we'll get to speak to his opponent, Raphael Japan as well. And so this is the atmosphere at the Ashanti Regional Head Office of the New Patriotic Party. On the streets of Krofrom, it is a charged atmosphere. Supporters are here. Dr. Kingsley Nyako, the Member of Parliament for Kwadaso constituency, is also here. Let's get to Dr. Kingsley Nyako. Honorable, you are coming to face the vetting committee this morning. How prepared are you?
Oh, I'm prepared. You know, I know the work I've done in the constituency, for the party, for the government, the people of Kwadaso will retain me as their next Member of Parliament. No doubt about that. They won't make a mistake because of my commitment to the party, my dedication, my contributions. For the party, the things that I've done in the constituency, my contribution in Parliament on the floor of the House, communicating for the party. So I've done a lot. And the people of Kwadaso are discerning. They love development, they love progress. So they will not make any mistake. They will vote for me again, for me to represent them again, in order for me to continue the good works that I have begun the constituency. You mark my words. 27th of January, you see that I'll receive massive endorsement the constituency.
You look very optimistic, but then your opponents are also super optimistic. Coming up against Vincent Frimpong Menu, how does it look like?
The first time I contested with him was in 2015. He had 14 votes. He was last. I occupied the penultimate position. I had 78. The second time we contested in 2020, he was last. He had 48 votes. I had 172 votes and I won. And he's coming again for the third time. Wait till January 27, and we saw what's going to happen. Vincent is no match. I don't talk much. I'm measured. I always tell them that they can talk, I will work. That's what I'm going to tell him. He can talk, he goes to the media. Do you see me on the media? No. This game is to build trust in the people. And I've done that. You go to Kwadaso, less than 3 years, the things that I've done, they are there, they are visible. Okay? He should tell us, being the deputy CEO of Middle Belt, what is done for the constituency. So let's see what is going to happen.
And so are you retaining your seat as Member of Parliament for Kwadaso after 27th?
I'm very optimistic. And I'm saying that the people of Kwadaso will not make any mistake by changing me. They won't do that. They won't do that. I'm telling you.
So what should the vetting committee expect from you as you proceed into the conference room?
I mean, I don't know the question that they're going to ask me, but I know that I'll be able to acquit myself so well, and they will approve me for me to contest. That's what I'll say about that.
Wishing you all the best as you proceed into your vetting. And so that is Dr. Kingsley Nyako, the Member of Parliament for the good people of Kwadaso constituency. He's optimistic of victory. He says that his opponents are no match for him. And so at the end of 27th of January 2024, he is going to win the constituency, in fact, and then also proceed to win the 7th December general elections, which will be to elect a president for the country and also parliamentary candidates. So Dr. Kingsley Nyako, over the earlier onwards, we spoke to the Member of Parliament for Bantama constituency, Francis Asenso-Boakye, and also we got to speak to Vincent Frimpong Menu, who is also seeking to unseat Dr. Kingsley Nyako. And so the atmosphere still at the Bantama, at the Krofrom constituency, the head office of the New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region, really looks fierce, a charged atmosphere. And so supporters of Francis Asenso-Boakye jubilating as he proceeds, he walks out of the regional party office. And so this is how
my colleague Nana Boakye with details from the Ashanti regional vetting process there, bringing us updates from a charged atmosphere in the Ashanti region. Well, joining us still on the vetting process is Professor Alidu Seidu. Professor Alidu Seidu, we are grateful for your time on the AM show.
Good morning to you, Mami, and good morning to your viewers.
Thank you. Good morning. And Prof, as you rightly witnessed, it's such a charged atmosphere in the Ashanti region, which currently has the largest amount of constituencies, 41 of them, really charged, especially in areas like Bantama constituency. What do you make of the process so far?
Yeah, I think I'm so happy about the internal competitiveness in terms of people putting themselves up to participate in the democratic processes by seeking the mandate of the people to represent them in parliament. It actually encourages democratic participation and allow for internal competition in political parties, so that when you are elected as a member of parliament, you know that at the end of your tenure, people within your party will put up your achievements to test by competing against you. So it's good for our democracy. But the other bit is that there have been a lot of issues about disqualification and qualification and competence. Representation is largely for the people. So basically, the people should have the ultimate say in determining who represents them. But when you are contesting on the ticket of a political party, you have to prove your membership, your commitment, your loyalty to party activities and to the political party. That may qualify you to contest on their ticket. So you have seen over the years, I think since yesterday and today or the past 2 days, it has always been people who have held positions in government competing with incumbent members of parliament to represent the constituency. What that means is that every member of parliament who is elected on the ticket of the NPP for now will have to prove his worth, will have to prove his competence, will have to prove his commitment to party, will have to prove his commitment and dedication and loyalty and service to the constituency. Failure to do that, you are going to be taken out. So basically, I like the competitiveness. I like the fact that people are very bold and they are putting the game to the incumbent MPs and challenging them to the task of representing the constituencies. It's very good, and I like it as a democratic state.
Well, Prof, even though there are quite a number of aspirants that are contesting, over 300 of them, there are still some 23 candidates that are going unopposed. Are these concerns about potential favoritism?
So there may be a lot of reasons. Some of them may have sincerely worked for the constituency. They have proven their worth, they have brought development, and the constituents or the party executive in that particular constituency are so proud of what they have done and have decided that maybe they should go unopposed. Or maybe even the people in the constituency know that this particular MP has done so well. So even if I compete him this time, I may not be able to succeed. So it could be born out of competence and hard work and dedication. In other cases too, it may be the political machinations of the candidate to be able to ward off competitiveness, deal with people who have interest in the seat behind the scenes, negotiate with them, make promises to them, or sometimes even buy them off, so that they will go unopposed. So it is a part of political strategy. If you are very strategic and you can speak to those who want to contest, just let me contest this time. Maybe after this year, I may not go again so that you come. Or maybe for this time, this year's election is very critical. Let us build unity and then contest. Then after that, I can also help you. So whichever way that they are able to negotiate the deal and go unopposed is good. But in other constituencies, you see a deliberate attempt by party hierarchy, either at the constituency level or at the regional level, to disqualify incoming debutant candidates who are highly competitive, so that they do not end up unseating the incumbent candidate. And mostly they always say that about 16 or so of the highly experienced members of parliament from the NPP are not going this time around. So it is good to still maintain people with experience, people who are well versed with parliamentary procedure, to still be able to prosecute party businesses, to be elected to party leadership positions in the next parliament. So if they let a whole lot of new people coming in, it may be very difficult for them to match maybe the NDC, who may be able to attain their experienced people. But even if you have to do that, it should be done on the proper account of principles and procedure. But if you use some Takashi ways to disqualify candidates, you are going to create a huge division in the party that could create apathy, and that could lead to the party losing the seat moving forward. So even if this has to be done, it should be done based on principles and facts, so that even the disqualified candidate will know that I have been properly disqualified. So if you look at the case in Bimbila, the case in Ayawasu, West Wagon, and several other constituencies, you tend to see that they have been a little bit of an unfair dealings meted out to some of the candidates who want to contest the incumbents. So if there's a deliberate attempt to protect incumbents without merit, it could backfire.
Well, since you've mentioned Bimbila, I mean, how then does the party assess the situation and ensure that they deal with the factionism in that constituency?
So if you look at the composition of the Bimbila constituency, it is a very kind of diverse. There are a whole lot of ethnic groups, but you see the incumbent MP is a Konkumba, and there are other tribes like the Nanumba who are also very predominantly inhabitants. So you tend to see the Konkumbas and the Nanumbas are the dominant ethnic groups in that particular area. And most of them, you get a little bit of here and a little bit of that other ethnic groups. You're able to win. And most of the candidates that are coming from two different ethnic groups. So if you tend to disqualify one person, even based on merit, it could backfire or torpedo a reaction from a specific ethnic group who think that you have disqualified them based on identity reasons. So that's why a whole lot of care has to be exercised. It may not necessarily be related to identity, but once you are coming from a particular identity group, you tend to maximize it as your trump card in election process, in addition to competence and experience and hard work. That's why the Bimbila case is very critical. But the issue is that I heard the General Secretary, Justice Kodjoe, has issued a directive that he should be added to the vetting processes and be properly vetted. So I think his name didn't even show up as part of those who have filed. He was disqualified based on the fact that he didn't fill the forms well or whatever issue that it may be. And these are some of the things the party has to properly guard against. They have to do due diligence so that even if a candidate is disqualified, the facts that are presented to him will convince him that at least what the vetting committee did was right. But if it's based on reasons that cannot be substantiated, it moves beyond just the disqualification based on competence or not feeling doing due diligence to including other ethnic, tribal, religious, and regional dimensions, which we don't want to occur in our politics. And that also will translate. The Bimbila seat is a very kind of thorny seat. It's kind of unstable. Little has been there over the years, but if they get a very strong candidate from another ethnic group that can compete against him, then it's going to make it more competitive, rather than just disqualifying him, the contestant, and let the incumbent MP go unopposed.
Well, Prof, just before you go, let's go to the Ashanti region. You know, that place is still heated, but there were issues with KT Hammond's Adanse Asokwa constituency, where he petitioned against Sami Binfo, who has currently been cleared to compete. But the undertones of this petition and how it impacts on the process, how do they move forward?
So I think most of the issues that usually the incumbents raise is the fact that, the person is not known in the constituency, or the person is not an active party member, he has not contributed to the party, he's not active in party activities. Some of those things are highly disputable, because somebody may not be on the frontline politics, frontline activism. You won't see him move from one particular party event to another, but they have been contributing behind the scenes, either in terms of money or thinking or ideas or strategizing. And that constitutes what's the contribution. So the definition of contribution to party or not being active in party activities has to be clearly defined, so that those kind of generalized statements are not used to disqualify highly competitive candidates and protect incumbent candidates. So some of these things, the vetting committee will have to set ground rules moving clearly to define what is meant by party activism, what is meant by contribution to party activities, and all those things, so that people don't hide under it to disqualify people who they think they can unseat them. If the party is able to do that, I think most of these things will be mitigated. And this is not the first time. It has been coming over the years, and when eventually they use it to disqualify highly competitive candidates, they either campaign for skirt and blouse, or they undermine the incumbent, and then the party ends up losing the seat. So I think the party has to put their heads down and be impartial in determining some of these things. Once you think you have done a lot to win the confidence of the constituents, you should not fear competition. You should allow yourself to be contested. That will even prove your worth and make you do better. So I think democracy is about competitiveness. But once we begin to undermine competitiveness to favor or protect other candidates, we are indirectly undermining our democratic growth as a country.
Professor Ali Seidu, we are grateful for your time on the AM show. And he is the Political Science Department Head at the University of Ghana. And that's how we wrap up our conversation on the NPP Parliamentary Vetting process. We'll be bringing you updates in subsequent bulletins. But right now, we'll take a break. When we come back, we have an interesting interview with Boris Kodjoe. Now let's turn down the heat and get into some light issues. We have a big one. Kodjoe Yankson sat down with Hollywood superstar Boris Kodjoe, and is the Beyond the Return project yielding any results? What can Ghana do to attract big production houses to film in the country? Now, listen.
Ghana is hoping that tourism is one of the ways in which we will claw our way out of the economic turmoil we've been suffering for a few years now. And things seem to be looking up. Since the year of return began in 2019, the amount of money each tourist spends in Ghana has risen incrementally. Just last year, ISA reports that each tourist spent an average of $2,700, almost $3,000, on a visit to Ghana. This is great news. But how can we sustain this? How can we keep it going? Well, one of the biggest champions of the year of return is Hollywood actor Boris Kodjoe. Now, of course, Boris has Ghanaian roots, which he's very proud of. Comes to Ghana as often as he can with his family and has been a big champion of the year of return. So I thought it would be a great idea to catch up with him just to figure out how things have gone so far with Ghana's big tourism drive and see how we can make it even better going forward. Boris, what a pleasure.
Good to see you.
Thanks for making the time.
Pleasure, Jojo.
Well, this year of return thing all kicked off in 2019 on the 400th anniversary of the end of slavery. Mm-hmm. And you were one of the big proponents of it. How do you think it's going?
I think it's going great. I think that we have collectively managed to change the narrative about Africa in general, and of course drastically about Ghana. Ghana has now become the prime destination for business and tourism, especially in December. Thousands and thousands of people come to celebrate the New Year's and Christmas, and so looking into the future, I want to keep us focused on sustainability. I want to use the momentum to propose a mindset shift from charity and aid dependency to economic development and investing, to make sure that we focus on some of the opportunities that this platform of increased tourism has given us. This newfound interest and attractiveness, attraction to the continent and specifically Ghana. Lots of members of the diaspora have rediscovered themselves by coming here, by reconnecting with their ancestry and by celebrating their culture, their heritage. And Ghana is such a beautiful place of diversity, of cultural richness, of the food, the music, the people, the sights, the beaches. It's really a perfect first destination for somebody who hasn't visited the continent. And for me personally, of course, it fills me with pride, and it's an honor for me to be able to speak about my country and the country that my father was born in, and the ground that he walked on. And any time that myself and my siblings, my family, we visit Ghana, it's a transformative experience, and it's an experience that reminds us of our personal, family history, which is very nice.
What do you think it is that sort of snapped in place in 2019 to suddenly make this drive as effective as it has become since then?
Well, I think that we've been subjected to a narrative for the past 80 years that has been less than flattering, to say the least. Traditional media has portrayed Africa as a place of famine and poverty, mostly. And I believe that we discovered that we can create our own narrative, that we can share our stories the way we want to share them, authentically, via social media, via the internet. And people responded in the diaspora because it was such an outpouring of cultural celebration, love, and unity, that it sort of took on a life of its own. And that now we're in a place where I think we have counteracted that narrative to a point where people now realize that they have to come and discover for themselves. And that's what we wanted. We wanted people to feel the urge, not just the interest, but the desire, the urge to come here and to reconnect and to find out more about themselves. Because a lot of the things that especially African Americans are dealing with currently are directly connected with the fact that they have been disconnected from their ancestry. A sense of abandonment maybe has been felt through generational trauma that they've been subjected to for so long. And coming here and realizing that the feeling of welcome is not a utopia. It actually exists, of a feeling of belonging somewhere, a feeling of home, and what that means and how that feels like. And what that feels like is what has driven people to come here in droves. And I hope that it'll continue.
So give us a peek into how things happen on the other end of this. I mean, I have no doubt you've been telling people you know, everybody you meet in the United States about Ghana for ages, long before the year of return. But tell us about the conversations that have led to some of the big names we've seen come along with you to Ghana in recent years. Like, what do you say to a Dave Chappelle or a Meek Mill to convince them that Christmas in Ghana is what they should be doing?
Well, I think that there's no difference between a Dave Chappelle and a regular person. He's just very talented in his own way. But at the root of his identity lies the same sense of disconnection as with many of the other members in the diaspora. And he has the same needs of wanting to rediscover who he is, define his identity. And he has a family, he has children, he understands the importance of making that connection. I mean, he's a very smart guy, and so is Meek Mills. And it doesn't take a lot of convincing. It's really just a matter of facilitating it, you know, make sure that schedules are aligned, and because you know, these guys are very busy throughout the year, so sometimes it's tough to find a window where they can move. But once they make it a priority to come back, it's done. And so we found a lot of these, you know, superstars are really excited to come back because, you know, especially those who are in the creative field, it's also a source of tremendous inspiration. You know, when you discover parts of yourself that had been dormant, feelings that are visceral, that you hadn't experienced until you step foot on the soil. Chance is here right now, and he comes often. So there's a lot of people who understand the value of being able to redefine your identity and to tap into parts of you that you hadn't known before. So again, it doesn't take a lot of convincing. All it takes is to facilitate it, and they all really want to be here.
Yeah. Now, the government of Ghana wants this to work. You can tell, I mean. But how do you assess their efforts so far? Are there gaps? Are there things that they should be paying attention to in order for this to be more sustainable, as you hinted?
Look, I think the government of Ghana has done a great job in launching this initiative with the year of return. I think they do the best job they can. There's a lot of responsibilities that are piled up on their table, and it's really difficult to appease everybody and to make sure everybody's happy, because you have to, you know, balance efforts in terms of what's needed most, which fires are burning the highest. And so for them to endorse this and for His Excellency President Nana Akufo-Addo to chair the event was a tremendous honor for us. And I hope that in the future we can continue to work with the government to continue to boost tourism and to increase economic development opportunities and investing in the country. The capital is there, the capital is ready. What we need is to establish regulatory measures and financial infrastructure that allows us to bring in capital without investors having to fear that the money disappears just because administration changes. There has to be consistency and security in terms of capital in this country, so we can really start investing in different sectors.
Let's do a quick what is working and what could be better about the return initiative so far. What's working? What could be better?
What's working is the fact that the world has caught on and the world has responded and everybody's coming. That the numbers speak for themselves. Some of the things that need improvement is just the infrastructure here to accommodate some of the projects and the movement, if you will. So there has to be a cultural meeting of the minds where people understand that just because we introduce innovation and progress and some changes doesn't mean that we're sacrificing our culture. It just means that we are speaking a global language. If we want to take part in the global economy, in global commerce, if you want to start taking advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area and start exporting and importing not our talent anymore, but our goods and services, we have to understand that we have to speak a global language, meaning we have to be open-minded, we have to be communicative, and we have to continue this very old tradition of akwaba. So we have to be welcoming. And sometimes there's new ideas that might seem off for some people who are used to their way, but I'm constantly appealing to people to open their hearts and their minds and to engage in synergies and to engage in collaborations and partnerships. And I think that's something we still are working on.
I have no doubt that even on holiday, your professional hat is usually on. So you must have seen and paid attention to the opportunities that exist in Ghanaian film industry. Tell us about your thoughts on that, and where you think things can go thanks to this meeting of minds that you describe.
I think the Ghanaian film industry is in its infancy, and I think that once we figure out how to implement tax incentive packages, it will take a huge leap and a jump to a place where we can generate multiple billions of dollars every single year in production services and monetizing content. In order to film here and in order to create an industry, there has to be a sustained effort to get some of these incentives written into law so that it's not just a one-off or a small business, but it actually turns into an industry. And for us to bring in investors and other studios from across the ocean, whether it's Europe or the US, those incentives have to be ever present. Otherwise, studios and production companies are going to continue to go to South Africa and other places. Ghana is positioned perfectly, geographically, in the middle, close to the US, close to Europe, and close to the Middle East. So it would be a perfect hub for a great multiple film studios and that are supported by foreign capital, that are subject to a lot of films and TV shows being shot, also supported by universities here that can start educating students about the film industry, various careers, and also endorsed by the government.
Be as brutally honest as you want. What do you think of local talent in the creative arts industry, particularly film?
I think Ghana is one of the most talented countries in Africa. We have an infinite pool of talent across creative entertainment, whether it's music or film or TV or the stage or tech, AI development. I think what's missing is access and resources. And I think that once we make some of these adjustments in terms of incentives, and we could bring in foreign capital as well as studios and production companies, that talent can be nurtured and supported, empowered, so that the talent can remain here and doesn't have to leave in order to follow a career path. I think that's the key. We have to continue to support, empower our own talent, and then export their goods and services. But continue to protect them and their IP so that translates into sustainability and ownership.
You've obviously played host to lots of other celebrities from your part of the world on trips to Ghana. What tends to be the biggest feedback, the most common feedback you get from those you've hosted in Ghana?
The most common feedback I've gotten was that people didn't want to leave. They've enjoyed themselves so much. The hospitality here is second to none. The beaches and the historic sites and the parties and the food and the people is such a beautiful, diverse, inspiring, just great home for people. And they sense that immediately when they get here. So, they have a hard time leaving.
So if I were to visit the United States, I were to go to Disneyland, for example, this year, and had a good time and came back next year, I'd probably find something new. They would have added a ride or two, they would have added an attraction or two. It seems tourism is quite dynamic in many parts of the world where it is thriving. Do you find the same dynamism with Ghanaian tourism? You come now. Do you find new things?
Oh, yes, of course. I mean, as tourism grows, so do the opportunities that people want to take advantage of, right? So in terms of vendors and artisans and restaurants and hotels, you know, people are now dealing with different numbers. So, you know, as the supply grows, so does demand. And I welcome it and I love it that people are really focused on optimizing what they're doing and growing with the growing tourism. And I'm looking forward to seeing what that does in the future, whether it's the Marine Drive project or development of more of our beautiful beaches or new restaurants and clubs sprouting up. And that's also a fun part for me whenever I come back to see something new. Yeah. And that's a great sign of a flourishing community that people are willing to invest and grow.
Boris, I want to thank you.
Thank you.
For spending your time with us. We
Thank
appreciate it. See you at the next party.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
But let's go to Tamale, where Chef Phyla is trying to break the Guinness World Record on the Cookathon. She's gunning for 120 hours of cooking. But Martina Bugri is there for us, and she'll be joining us to tell us more about it. Martina, if you can hear me, what's the latest where you are? Martina, if you can hear me, what is the latest where you are? So in your shot, you can see Chef Phyla communicating with some persons in her kitchen. We all know that she is gunning for 120 hours of cooking to break the Guinness World Record of 119 hours by an Irishman. And Martina Bugri is in Tamale and observing the process to tell us what's happening there. But as we already know, she has already prepared 60 different dishes for over 500 participants who have been there to, enjoy the dishes that she's cooking. And from what we're hearing, her meals are delicious and captivating. Now, Martina, what can you tell us from where you are? I think my director should check the phone lines and then we'll rectify it and get back to Martina. But as you can see in your shot, I think Chef Phyla is trying to fry some pancakes. I wish I was there to enjoy some because I haven't eaten this morning, but it looks very sumptuous. I can see a pile of them on a plate there in her kitchen while she prepares some more for those who will be coming to enjoy it. And like you can see, she's just...
It's day 4 morning of the Cookathon. We are done 81 hours, over 2,000 plates of dishes served to people at the auditorium and outside the auditorium. And we have had people come far and near to support. More people continue to come in to lend their support. A team came in a while ago from Accra, about 12 of them. They are coming in to support. It's been support after support in various ways or diverse ways. We have had people who have come in with rice, tomatoes, just name it, in any way they can support. And the crowd has kept on cheering and cheering and cheering Phyla. And we are being told that she's doing very well. Her doctor said she's up. The energy level is high. They don't believe she'll break down anytime soon. That we should be assured that Phyla is going to cook the number of hours she had said she would cook. Now, this morning, she came out with her own recipe. She calls it plantain lasagna. And she's been 7 people. That's what most people are taking this morning with tea. I must say that people are enjoying themselves. Now, one thing that this Cookathon has brought to the region is the business aspect. Last night, the whole compound was packed with various businesses ranging from food, cosmetics, just name it, and everybody is cashing in. Business is thriving, people are united. Just across the globe, everybody is talking about Phyla. And people in the region are so proud of her. Ghanaians are so proud of her. Like I said, people are traveling from outside the region and joining in the fun.
Right, Martina, and so I can see Phyla, garnishing some pancakes there. Have you tasted of them already?
I just took the plantain lasagna she prepared, and it tastes so good. I felt cabbage, I felt carrots, I felt beef, plantain, and several other recipes. She wouldn't tell us now. She said she would let the world know after she's done with her cooking. She probably would do a big one to show the world how that one is done. But it is very good.
And how about her fitness as we speak now? I think she's done 4 days now, right? How is she maintaining her energy levels?
Yes, so when I spoke to the psychologist, he said that they had to introduce a psychologist into her team to keep psyching her up. And then they are taking care of her needs, getting her the few rest that she needs to keep her active. And you yourself would see that she's up on her feet. Yesterday she was dancing to the very popular dance we dance here in Tamale. She was dancing to it. And so her energy level is so high that they don't think that she's going to break down anytime soon. And we are hoping that she would go even past the 7 days she had said she would go.
Thank you so much, Martina Bukri. And she's, observing Chef Phyla cook out several dishes for over hundreds of people patronizing the competition there in Tamale. And that's how we wrap up the AM show today. We've been speaking to Professor Alidu Seidu, who is a political analyst on the NPP vetting process. We've also spoken to lawyer Bobby Bansen for the news review and a DJ Black for the 90s Jam. And don't forget, also we had Boris Kodjoe in an interview with Kodjoe Yangsin. And that's our AM show for today. But tomorrow, I tell you, it's going to be exciting as well. Stay with us. News Desk is up next.